Chapter 557. When he did not know what the officials and rich merchants in Shuzhou wanted to do, Zhang Zhong put his energy into government affairs. The struggle was just a distraction. What he really needed to do was to bring benefits to the people. Li Sun pulled a portion of the commoners to build roads, scenic spots, and waterways. Zhang Zhong used his status as the provincial governor, and Li Sun's status as the county prince to vouch for the commoners. They borrowed money from the commoners to implement three-dimensional farming. Compared to the people in Luzhou, the people in Shuzhou had a much better life. After all, there was only one middle county here, and the rest were all upper counties. There was no such thing as working hard and starving. It was just that they could not eat meat often. There was nothing they could do about it. Even in the whole Great Tang, there were only a few places where ordinary people could eat meat as they wished, let alone them. Now there were only 3 places that could be confirmed: Sanshui County, some counties in Yaozhou, and Luzhou. Zhang Zhong's name was written on the back of each place. Therefore, when Zhang Zhong first arrived in Shuzhou, the people did not know the situation. After a while, the people learned who Zhang Zhong was through various channels. They immediately changed their attitude and were very cooperative. The people were not stupid. There were 2 kinds of people who judged the wealth of the officials. One was a very poor official, so the people could rest assured. If the official was poor, it meant that he was not greedy. The other was a rich official, such as Zhang Zhong, who came from a rich family, would not be greedy, especially when he knew that his family was in business. The most frightening thing was that his family was rich and did not have any business. It would be troublesome if he met such an official. With Zhang Zhong and Li Sun's guarantee, the commoners came over to draw and choose a project. The commoners who lived near rivers or lakes chose to rear pigs, ducks, and ponds. Those who did not have such conditions chose to rear pigs, chickens, crabs, and rice. If they did not even have rice and only had mountainous areas, they would use fruit trees or mulberry trees to rear forest frogs. The Zhang family and Li Sun were responsible for the recycling, and the Zhang family was also responsible for providing the technology. This was not a technology that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came up with. They only provided an idea, and the Zhang family and the Wang family figured it out after several years of experiments. If it were any other aristocratic family or businessman, they would definitely selfishly keep the technology. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already helped their family get through the most difficult days, so they didn't care about the technology and money that they were keeping. Other than the industrial technology, that they were afraid of being leaked and stolen by others, almost all of the agricultural technology had been made public. Only the technology of hatching chickens and planting fungus was still kept. Among them, the technology of hatching chickens was also ready to be made public. When more people were willing to raise chickens, the technology of hatching poultry would be more important. Fungus was a luxury, so there was no need to tell others. Ordinary people did not have spare money to eat fungus, so it was fine if they didn't have it. The people took the money and the technology to catch pigs, and started to buy the poultry hatched by the Zhang family. None of them knew if they would succeed. If it weren't for the 2 big shots guarantees and Zhang Zhong's reputation, they really wouldn't dare to try. In order to make the people feel at ease, the Zhang family and the Wang family also sent people from the inner courtyard to guide them. There would be a technician in every village. If there was something that they did not understand, they could look for him. If this was the first time Zhang Zhong and Li Sun became officials, and the first time they went to a place to do things for the people, the officials in Shuzhou might have the idea of watching the bustle, and the surrounding provinces were the same. However, it was not the first time the 2 of them came out. They had a lot of halos, so no one thought that the technology they showed was not successful. There were not many bad officials in the Tang Empire now. This ratio was calculated according to the time of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When the officials in Luzhou, Shuzhou, and the counties near Shuzhou saw Zhang Zhong take action, they immediately sent people to learn. This was not a new idea. Before Zhang Zhong took office, they already had this idea. They did not want to be like Qinzhou, who foolishly insisted on doing things. If they could learn something, they would learn it. The surrounding terrain was similar. As long as they could do it in Shuzhou, they could do it in Shuzhou. As a result, a place was set up in the nearest county, and a test site was set up according to the 3 patterns. From time to time, people were sent to the same place in Shuzhou to secretly learn. If they were successful, they could do the same next year. Needless to say, those who sincerely cared for the people would be able to live a good life after learning it. Even if the officials wanted to be greedy, they would also support them. Greed could only be done if they had money. The richer the people were, the more they would be greedy. If the people were begging, who would they be greedy for? After a period of busy work, it was already midsummer. The 4 little guys were already 1 year old. They could run and jog, and they would work hard to walk with their short legs. The most common action they would do was to walk and walk. And if they didn't walk properly, they would sit on the ground with their buttocks. If the old people or adults were not careful, they could easily break their bones. However, the little ones were not affected at all. They were short. When they sat on the ground, they forgot to walk and randomly picked up something to play with. Under the efforts of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they could already speak more than 5 words. They could recognize many kinds of objects. If they wanted something, they had to think hard about the name of the object. If they could not think of it, they would cry. Their curiosity was stronger. In fact, they were curious before, but they could not walk and could only crawl. It was difficult to go from one place to another. In the process of crawling, they had to turn again when they saw something else. Now it was different. When they were curious about something, they could run over and see it. If a butterfly or a dragonfly landed, they could see it from a distance. Then, they would run over and stretch out their little hands to take it. Yes, take it. The little guys thought that everything that could be taken belonged to them. In the end, the dragonfly and butterfly flew away. The little guys were stunned. They raised their heads to look at the direction the butterfly and dragonfly flew, and then looked at the flowers and grass where the 2 stopped. They were lost in thought. No one knew what they were thinking. Cold melon, cold melon. Zhang Xiaobao held Wang Wan's younger brother in his arms and held a picture in his hand and said to him, "Cucumber, cucumber." Wang Wan's younger brother looked at the picture and then at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Cold melon, drink Anhan, not drink Wang Huang cold melon." Cucumber, cucumber. So stupid. Didn't you say it was good yesterday? You forgot again? What is it? Cold melon. Right, why did you say it wrong just now? Are you stupid? You are stupid. I want to eat cucumber, cucumber. Oh, then you should have said it earlier. Next time, remember to finish your words. Bring me a cucumber and peel the skin. Zhang Xiaobao was very happy that he could be refuted. This showed that the little guy's intelligence was higher. See, as long as there is something that can attract them, it can make them use their brains more. If it weren't for the fear that they would develop bad habits, I would teach them to scold people now. Zhang Xiaobao took the picture away and said to Wang Wan, who was squatting next to another little guy, to look at the ants. I have never heard that scolding people can train intelligence. Don't touch it. Be careful that it crawls on your body. Wang Wan grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother's hand. Zhang Xiaobao also brought Wang Wan's younger brother over to look at them and moved the insects with satisfaction. He personally pinched an ant and put it on his younger brother's hand. Don't worry, just touch it. This kind of ant can't cause any harm to people. Even if you eat it, it's fine. I often ate it when I was a child. Of course, it's useful to scold people. Scolding people is a very emotional behavior. Whether it's laughing or scolding, it's more emotional than usual. When children feel emotions, they will imitate this kind of emotion, which has a great effect on training the brain. Therefore, children generally learn to scold people faster. Oh, there's such a saying. This is the first time I've heard of it. Quickly throw the insect away. What do you want to do with it? Wang Wan hit the insect that Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother had just caught. Eat. Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother looked very wronged. He pinched the ant with one hand and wanted to take the insect with the other. Zhang Xiaobao saw that Wang Wan was going to hit the insect again and hurriedly stopped her. Just watch the child, and don't put the insect into his mouth. Isn't this like treating the insect as an ant? You have to understand it from the child's point of view. If you interrupt, there will be 2 consequences. One is that the child still wants to feed the insect to the ant and continues the original action. The other is that he gives up. If you continuously interrupted the child, the consequence would be that the child would no longer want to feed the ants. In other words, the child would have one less research direction. What you dispelled was the child's curiosity towards the unknown. Without curiosity, how could a person delve into it? The real way to educate children is to adopt a guiding and understanding method, not an experiential and convenient method. For example, when children play with mud, many adults will directly tell them that it's dirty and they can't play with it. In fact, the most fundamental reason is not that. The adults are worried about it. What's there to be afraid of if it's dirty? Afraid of eating it? Can't you watch from the side? My idea is that when a person is not prepared to bear the responsibility of raising a new life, then don't have children. Of course, in today's world, having children is sometimes passive. In the past, I have seen it more than once. There were children who reached out to grab the food when they were being fed by the adults. The adults restricted the children's movements and told the children not to use their hands. Such adults don't understand that the children don't necessarily want to eat with their hands. They just want to feel what the rice looks like. This has led to a result. Many children, if you ask them what the rice looks like, they will say that it's fragrant, oval-shaped, and white. They will not say that it's soft or sticky. If everything has to be done like this, how many talented children do you think will be killed? Wang Wan was confused. She didn't expect that her action of hitting the insect would be changed to killing geniuses by Zhang Xiaobao. This time, she didn't stop Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother from taking the insect as an ant, even if the ant in his hand didn't eat it. You have a lot of crooked ideas. If you feed it now, the ant won't eat it. What should we do? Then find a way to let him see how ants eat. Catch more ants and put them in a glass jar. Cover it with a layer of sand and throw the insects in for the ants to eat. When they eat, look at it with a magnifying glass. Zhang Xiaobao immediately came up with a solution. Then he can understand how ants eat? Wang Wan argued. No, but he may be interested in the magnifying glass or the glass jar. It's better than being an obedient child with no interests. I'm not afraid of trouble. We have professionals at home to take care of children. We don't need to raise them to be good children who don't move and don't make trouble for the adults. Chapter 558. In this era, no one could compare with Zhang Xiaobao when it came to educating children. When they ate that day, they really steamed insects. They specially left a few for the younger brother to feed the ants. They even let the younger brother take a bite of an unprocessed green insect. As a result, the little fellow no longer put the insects they found outside into his mouth. In the afternoon, they found insects and gave them to the servant girl, which meant that they would cook them for him. They also made a glass jar and threw a small nest of ants into it. They were not afraid of them running out with a lid. As Zhang Xiaobao said, the little fellow lost interest in the ants after a while. Instead, she became curious about the magnifying glass and held it in her hand to shine around. When she shone it on her sister's face, she was shocked by her sister's curious big eyes. Since the younger brothers and sisters could run, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to think of ways to train them. They could not be like the two of them in the past. That would cause trouble. They made a few balls for them to play with. They also prepared some slightly heavy toys. If the children wanted to play with them, they had to exert themselves. If they were tired, they would not play with them. It's hot. We can let them learn to swim. Throw a few more life buoys sewn with pig bubbles into the water. The temperature of the water needs to be adjusted. Let them play in it. Also, throw in the ducks and fish made of wood. When Zhang Xiaobao got up in the morning and saw the four little guys sleeping in the shade after eating, he adjusted their jackets and said, the purpose of wearing jackets was not to look good, but to block the navel. This was the place where nutrients were transmitted. It was easy to get sick when it was cold. Wang Wan took 2 books and gave one to Zhang Xiaobao. When she found a place to sit down and was ready to read, she said, Aren't you afraid that they will choke on the water? Shallow water. Even if they sit in the pool, they can still show their heads. Zhang Xiaobao took the book and read it. It turned out to be the notes from last year's imperial examination. He suddenly felt a headache. Then why do we need a life buoy? Let them know what it's like to climb on a life buoy and experience the buoyancy for themselves. Perhaps there's no need to teach them. They'll know how to swim by themselves in a few days. Right now, they don't know how to be afraid like when they grow up. Zhang Xiaobao explained and began to read the book. In the past, the questions from the imperial examinations could be collected by others, but the good answers could not be found. These were brought out by people from Beijing. Some were directly placed there, and some were looked at by others with comments. These were very useful to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. From the fact that the rice seedlings had not yet formed ears, it was obvious that this year's harvest would not be small. There was no need to worry about rent. Zhang Zhong then thought about the tax collected from the people who were selling the condoms after the end of the year. He estimated that the tax collected would also increase by a lot. His mission here could be considered completed. He estimated that after 2 years, he would be able to move to another place. After that, he would be free. If it were other provincial governors, they would think of ways to have fun. They would have a small banquet every 3 days, or a big banquet every 5 days. Or they would go hunting and send benefits to the higher-ups. Zhang Zhong did not have this kind of hobby. He did not need to care about giving gifts. He would either read the book or see the children. In the end, when he was really bored, he would go out for a stroll after breakfast every day. He would bring along his bodyguards and go from place to place. He would see the lives of the people, look at the goods in the market, and admire the scenery of Shuzhou. After visiting the nearby places, Zhang Zhong wanted to go further away. When that day came, he would not be able to come back. Traveling on the road that had not been repaired yet, it would take half a month to travel from the magistrate's office to the furthest riverside. Zhang Zhong did not plan to not go home for so many days. He wanted to go to Lake Tai, which was 3 to 4 days away, to take a look. He asked people to set up the carriage and bring along more bodyguards. After informing his family, he headed towards Lake Tai unhurriedly. As for the matters in the prefecture, he left it to the people in the inner courtyard to manage. The procession walked leisurely, looking at the scenery and tasting tea. It was already night time, and they were in the middle of nowhere. Other officials might feel uncomfortable because of this, but Zhang Zhong did not feel the same way. They found an open space and set up their tents. The chefs began to cook for everyone. The 3 chefs did not cook for Zhang Zhong. They all knew that even if they cooked a small stir-fry, Zhang Zhong would not eat it. He had to eat with everyone. It was not that he deliberately wanted to get closer to the people in the inner courtyard. Zhang Zhong had already treated the villagers and the people in the inner courtyard as his family. It was more comfortable to eat with family members. After a day's journey, they did not eat any stir-fried dishes. The chefs also followed suit. They directly asked the 3 chefs to cook a stew and a big pot of rice. Everyone ate with the rice. There were dry and watery dishes. It was very lively. Zhang Zhong ate a lot and walked around the tent. There were 2 bodyguards and a little boy following him. The little boy was a villager from Zhuangzi, which was the first village of the Zhang family. He usually studied in the Jinjia Academy. When he heard that he could follow the master of the family, he applied to come here. Although he had left the academy, he had learned a lot. It was much better to follow Zhang Zhong than in the academy. The knowledge that he could learn in the academy could also be learned by Zhang Zhong. At the same time, he could also broaden his horizons by going outside. Zhang Tong, you are 16 this year, right? Zhang Zhong suddenly stopped walking and looked at the starry sky. He asked the little boy. The little boy nodded and replied, "Yes, master. Your memory is very accurate. Study hard this year. Next year, before I leave Shuzhou, take off your status and take the imperial examination. Then you can go to the places where our 2 shops are. Read thousands of books, travel thousands of miles, see the mountains and rivers of the Tang Empire, and experience the happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy of the people in different places. When you feel it's enough, go to the capital and take the imperial examination. Don't be lazy," Zhang Zhong warned Zhang Tong. Zhang Tong was stunned and did not know how to reply. He nervously rubbed his hands and said, "Master, I don't want to take off my status. I just want to stay in the Zhang family and be a villager of the Zhang family. You are still a child. If you don't take off your status, how can you take the imperial examination? If you don't take the imperial examination, who will help Xiao Bao and the others in the future? Not only you, but all the villager who can take the imperial examination should take off their status and take the imperial examination. You also have to take the military examination. When the time comes, you will be scattered everywhere and be an official, so that the people of the Tang Empire can benefit. If you lack money, you can get it from the main family. Don't be greedy. If the Zhang family and the Wang family can let those people go, we can also beat them down. Do you remember? Zhang Zhong's thoughts had already shifted to when his sons grew up. As long as the Zhang family and the Wang family cultivated more outstanding children to be officials, they would have a helper. Zhang Zhong just thought of it. He was so busy with other things that he was muddle-headed. He did not know that his son had this plan long ago. Not only the villager, but also the people in the academy, and the people supported by the Zhang family and the Wang family in various places. Some of them were already officials now. They were all cultivated secretly and did not allow corruption or bribery. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan spent more than 20,000 strings of money on this every year. The person with the most money had already sat in the position of the lower province's subclass 5th grade official. After Zhang Zhong entered the capital, there would be several people, at least 2 assistant ministers. There were also people who were specially trained to be in the censorate. These people had to be in the 3 provinces and 6 ministries. These people might not be used even once in their lives, and would only be wasting money. However, once they forced Zhang Xiaobao to use them, it would definitely not be a small matter. Only Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and the people close to them knew about this. Even Zhang Zhong and the other family members did not know about this. While Zhang Zhong was thinking about the future, Zhang Tong's heart was unable to remain calm. He could imagine a day not too far away when the young master and his brothers in the manor would all be officials at the same time, helping each other. As long as they walked the right path and sat upright, they would not have to worry about being framed or pushed aside. The 2 of them were silent for a while. They looked at the stars and the moon. After a while Zhang Tong spoke. Master, don't worry. We all know what to do. We think for the people. We are all people who have suffered. Yes. Let's go. There is still a long way to go. Zhang Zhong, who did not know the direction of history, was not like Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had already started to calculate people and wanted to make the Tang Empire more prosperous. The 2 of them strolled around for more than 2 hours. In fact, they were just walking in circles around the tent. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had distilled the toilet water according to the mosquito-repellent prescription. Otherwise, they would have been stared at by the insects long ago. There was also cooling oil and essential balm, which were used to ensure a stable sleep in the wild, or to help refresh one's mind. After a few rounds, they were finally tired. Zhang Zhong yawned and said, "It's late. Let's all rest. We still have to hurry on tomorrow morning." As soon as he finished speaking, they heard a shout from the west. "Who is it? The governor of Shuzhou is here. Report. Stop and come down." As the voice came, Zhang Zhong was immediately surrounded by guards. More torches were lit one after another. After a few breaths of time, 3 riders came back from the east. They were all Zhang Zhong's bodyguards. One of the horses had a person tied up on it. There was an arrow stuck in the shoulder of this person. There was another horse behind the 3 horses. It seemed that the tied man was riding it. "Master, we caught a sneaky man. He didn't rest in the middle of the night and rode here. After he was seen, he fled in a hurry. I guess he is going to do something bad to you. Please punish him." Immediately, a guard who had tied the person up flipped over and threw the person to the ground. He said to Zhang Zhong. There was no joy or worry on his face, as if he had done something insignificant. This was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had taught him. The responsibility of a guard was to protect, and there was nothing to be happy about in ensuring the safety of others. Zhang Zhong didn't know who the person was. He looked at the person on the ground and waved his hand. "You can interrogate him. Tell me when you have news." I'm going back to lie down for a while." After saying this, Zhang Zhong went back into the tent. Immediately, someone took out the thing in the tied man's mouth. Before they could ask, the man threatened. "Do you know who I am? I am the prince's subordinate. I work for the prince." "Then hurry up and say it." "I'm sleepy. It's time to sleep. Why talk so much nonsense?" "Which prince? Tell me. What is the prince?" The guard didn't care who the man was. The information was the most important. He kicked the man to make him speak quickly. It's Prince Xining. Let me go." The man struggled to get up but couldn't use any strength. Chapter 559. Prince Xining was Li Sun's father. If he really wanted to know something, he could ask the guards of the mansion who guarded Li Sun. There was no need to send people here to inquire. It was impossible for him to do something bad. Of course, no one would believe the words of the captive. After a round of interrogation, the captive finally couldn't bear it and told everything he knew. After hearing this, the guards were relieved. It turned out that the captive wasn't targeting the master. It was just a coincidence. There was a place that produced marble on the other side of Lake Tai. In the beginning, there was an account book in the government office. Later, for some reason, the account book was gone. The book in the government office only had the words marble written on it. As for what kind of stone it was, it couldn't be seen from the book. This stone could be sold for money. There were also copper ores, but the account book only had the words or written on it. The common people didn't know that there was no account book in the government office, so it was impossible for them to report it. In the past, even if they reported it, they had to go to the county first. Needless to say, the consequences were obvious. Marble and copper ores weren't processed locally. They were all transported away. The captive didn't know where they were transported to, so it was very mysterious. Since they didn't want the government office to know, they had to transport them secretly. After Zhang Zhong arrived in Shuzhou, he did this with the two mines. Tonight, they were going to transport them, but they were discovered. The captive didn't know much. He only knew that there was someone in the capital behind this matter. As for who it was, he didn't know. Some said it was a prince, some said it was a county prince, and some said it was a big aristocratic family. Anyway, the person who was caught heard it from others, so after being caught, he casually said a prince to scare people. In the end, he could have said anyone, but he had to say Prince Xining. After the guards got this information, they immediately passed it to Zhang Zhong. When Zhang Zhong heard that someone was selling marble and copper ores, he was shocked and hurriedly ordered people to catch the transport team. However, when the guards rushed over, they found that everyone had run away, leaving only dozens of cars with goods parked there. The traces on the ground were very messy. In addition, it was night, so they couldn't track them at all. That was not right. How did they know? He returned and continued to interrogate the captured people. Only then did he understand that the people who transported the goods were very careful. Every scout sent out had to return within a specified time. If there was no news after half an hour, it meant that there was a problem. They would rather make a wrong judgment than take the risk. After this person exceeded the time limit, the people there realized that something was wrong. They sent another rider to approach carefully. When they saw the light of the torches, they immediately went back to report. In the end, they all ran away, leaving behind only goods worth 6,000 strings of coins. Everything was inferred from the words of those who were captured. At this time, Zhang Zhong nodded and said in realization, I understand now. No wonder the local tax revenue is getting lower and lower. Most of it has been shipped away and sold elsewhere. Investigate. I don't care who is behind this. As long as I find it, I will investigate. Send someone back to inform Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, and then send more people over. I will go check out the place that produces the marble and copper ores. After giving the order, Zhang Zhong returned to the tent to sleep. The guards arranged their patrol shifts one by one, not daring to be careless. In fact, Zhang Zhong wanted to go over and see how the stone was mined, but when he came out, his son and daughter-in-law told him not to rush over if there was danger, and to wait for more people to arrive. It was okay to be safe, but he could not put himself in danger. Zhang Zhong was very obedient. The whole family could not do without him. He did not know what would happen if he really chased to the place. If hundreds of people surrounded and attacked him, the family would be finished. It took a day to get here, but it did not take too much time for the people who went back to report. They took turns to ride 3 horses, and it only took them 3 hours to get back to the mansion. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still awake. The two of them were making a generator, which was made of copper coins wrapped around magnets. Other than being able to light up a light bulb, it could also be used to electrolyze something. The simplest way was to electrolyze water. Once it was formed, it could provide oxygen to the hospital. It could be used to save people at critical times. This work was not easy to do. They did not know how to control the density and power of the coil, so they could only make one to see if it would work. After wrapping one, before they could test it, the guard came back. After explaining the matter, Zhang Xiaobao arranged for more people to go over. He looked at the generator on the table and lost interest for a moment. Wang Wan guessed for a while but could not guess, so she could only ask Zhang Xiaobao, who was also in deep thought. Xiaobao, which prince do you think it is? Zhang Xiaobao looked up at Wang Wan and said, "It's not any of the princes. The princes and the legitimate imperial grandson are all under Li Longji's watch. Who would dare to play tricks at this time? Do they not want to live anymore? It's probably a certain aristocratic family, or several aristocratic families. Otherwise, it could be a certain prince. If that's the case, it's not impossible for the princes and aristocratic families to work together. Who knows? When we catch them, we'll ask them. We'll do what we need to do. At worst, we'll hand the matter over to Li Longji and let him handle it personally. Then aren't you afraid that Li Longji will really complain about us when he faces his own son?" Wang Wan asked worriedly. "This matter needs to be told to him secretly. You can't let him know openly. The imperial family also needs to maintain their reputation. I finally understand why they stopped after failing this time. The reason they stopped causing trouble for my father was because my father did not discover the secret. They thought that by providing my father with more rent this year, my father would be careless. Unfortunately, man proposes, God disposes. My father insisted on going there for a stroll, so he met them. My guess is that in the beginning, there was a lot of tax due to the discovery of marble, as well as copper. In the beginning, there wasn't much mining, so the tax collected was higher than usual, and people didn't pay too much attention to it. At that time, the official probably didn't want to be greedy, or maybe he was being careful and sold this matter to someone else. When he received the benefits and was promoted, the new official began to be controlled by others. After all, a single official didn't have enough manpower and couldn't do too much. Moreover, the accounts didn't show any good results. How much could a single stone be worth? As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he used a pen to draw a schematic diagram for Wang Wan. There were many diagrams for various aspects, and there were also some that were unclear and were marked with question marks. Wang Wan picked up the pen and ticked off the diagram. Then why did they have to lower the rent? Could it be that they were unwilling to part with that little bit of money to sell marble and copper? If I were them, I would make the rent equal. Wang Wan felt that the person behind the scenes was stupid. Did they really think that it would be fine if they paid less rent? What happened now? He was being targeted, wasn't he? Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent Xiaobao's father over just to deal with him. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the diagram and tapped his hand on the table. After a while he said, "There are several possibilities. The first is that the person who did this is really stupid. Basically, this situation is not easy to occur. The second possibility is that they are in urgent need of money and really can't give it. They want to wait until this period of time. Before the secret is exposed, they think it is very safe. The whole of Shuzhou has been bought. What can a provincial governor do? How many provincial governors will have nothing to do like my father? First, when they take office, they will threaten them and then compromise. For example, what happened to my father? Naturally, it will be easy to deal with. Anyway, most people don't know about the two mines. They only think that they are producing stones. For example, my father, they will give him some face first. This year, the rent tax is higher, so everything will be easy to deal with. I know. Normally, They should take out the profit of the 2 mines and say that there are more stones in the stone mine. This year is good, and then they will give your father an explanation. But we started to help the local development as soon as we came. In this way, the rent tax will be higher. They don't need to take out money at all. They have a little idea and secretly transport the stones. As long as we don't find out, they can continue to make money. It seems that we are really the nemesis of bad people. Life, it is life. When Zhang Xiaobao mentioned it, Wang Wan was able to analyze a portion of the content. Zhang Xiaobao laughed twice. Of course. Isn't this the work of the special second department? There are only those who don't want to catch, and those who can't. There is no one who can't catch, and those who can't. In fact, it's all our fault. We have to be good people. Now we are in trouble. It turns out that there are more bad people than good people. Also, the third point is that there are many forces sharing the profit. Although the rent tax is only a few tens of thousands of strings of coins, it is enough for the subordinates of each force to spend. No one wants to earn less. In the end, the rent tax is not going up. The fourth point is that the profit is too big. For example, the copper ore has a high copper content. In the past, they could always dig out a lot of waste stones. Now it is all good copper ore. The waste stones are sold less, so the rent tax is less. They don't want to give up this part of the profit. Anyway, the account is a stone producer. There can be more or less stones. To them, the one who should be complaining the most is the provincial governor, who raised the rent tax. If he didn't raise the rent tax, how could there be such a troublesome matter? Zhang Xiaobao could understand their feelings. Who didn't want money? However, he couldn't pretend that he didn't see it just because he understood. If it were another emperor, he might be able to turn a blind eye. Wasn't it just a rent tax? His family could improve the living standards of the local people and satisfy the desires of the imperial court. However, the current emperor was Li Longji. Zhang Xiaobao had no choice but to offend people when he knew that he could. Offending others was better than offending Li Longji. Then what he had to do now was to turn a blind eye. It would be easier to aim and see who would be the unlucky one. In the current situation, it definitely wouldn't be his family that would be unlucky. As he thought about it, Zhang Xiaobao's hand stopped knocking on the table and changed to knocking on his face. When Wang Wan saw this, she understood. Zhang Xiaobao was going to scheme against someone again. Wang Wan once again felt sad for Zhang Xiaobao's opponent. Couldn't he have endured for 2 years? Why did he have to commit a crime against the wind? Moreover, he used such a lowly method. If one walked by the river often, how could one's shoes not get wet? Not to mention that he had met Zhang Xiaobao's father today. Even if he hadn't met him, he wouldn't have been able to escape. The Zhang family's inner courtyard had already been distributed to various places. With so many inner courtyards, how could they not have discovered the situation? They would definitely be caught in 2 years. There was no escaping. Xiaobao, I'm thinking now. What will happen in the process of the struggle? Wang Wan seemed very excited. She loved to see Zhang Xiaobao make a move. As long as Zhang Xiaobao made a move, the other party would definitely not be able to resist. For the time being, nothing will happen. When our people go there, they will find that the place is already empty. Moreover, the mine can't be dug anymore. It's all been filled up. If it were me, I would even open a paddy field there and buy seedlings from elsewhere to plant. Then, I would never show up again. Zhang Xiaobao was familiar with this kind of thing. To be precise, he had done it many times in the past. Wang Wan thought about it and felt that it made sense. She asked again. Then they can just avoid it. But don't tell me they don't want the mine. Why don't they want it? If it's really like what I said, they are now farming. Don't tell me you dare to dig it up? Isn't it just soil, water, and rice seedlings? You can do it with money. If you want to dig it up, there will be many people coming to stop you. There will also be officials who will not agree. There will even be impeachment memorials from the imperial court. Even if your roots are deep and you are not afraid of the people, before you can dig it up, someone will report to the imperial court in advance that they found a marble mine and copper mine. They will also estimate the output. These things can be estimated more or less. If it is estimated more, then how much do you think my father should pay for this year's tax? That mine is filled up with stones. How much effort would it take to dig in? It is completely different from the estimation. Would my father submit a memorial? If he submitted a memorial saying that the copper mine and marble mine had to be cleared first, then the imperial court would definitely agree. Then what? We would be foolishly digging. After digging for a while, we would suddenly find out that someone else had dug in before. The news would spread like wildfire in Great Tang. The most appropriate way to describe it is that my father told the imperial court to clear the mine first for his own personal gain, while he continued to mine. My father would immediately say that he has wronged the emperor and the people. He might not be beheaded for the crime of deceiving the emperor. After all, my family is in the right. There is no need for him to go to Lingnan. Even if he goes there, he can't let my father go to Luzhou. I think Li Longji will send my father to Sichuan for the sake of his reputation. If there is a chance in the future, it will be fine. However, now is definitely not the time. Therefore, this matter won't be resolved in the short term. Let's wait. Zhang Xiaobao explained his plan to deal with this situation. If it were him, he would have done the same. He was not bluffing at all. Wang Wan listened to Zhang Xiaobao's speculation. Or rather, she was convinced by Zhang Xiaobao's plan. It was not good to be too smart. Although she knew, she was still unwilling to accept this. Why did she have to be treated like this in the past? Just as he was feeling vexed, he suddenly recalled that everything that had just happened was Zhang Xiaobao's own conjecture. Regardless of whether the other party could come up with the same idea or not, just the fact that Zhang Xiaobao was able to figure it out meant that he had a way to deal with it. Xiaobao, don't tell me that you don't have a solution and can only wait. That's embarrassing. How can you call yourself an international swindler? How is that embarrassing? You're from the Special Second Division. Do you have a solution? Just wait. I really hope that they are farming. Farming is good. They can set up an experimental field and send people 24 hours a day to check the changes in the crops. Chapter 560. At the crack of dawn, the guards sent by the Zhang family had already arrived. Normally, there were 150 guards, and there were 40 members of the Zero Squad. They were either training or learning various battle tactics, as well as the key points that Wang Wan had taught them in certain situations, such as how to defeat the strong with fewer and the weak. They rarely accompanied Zhang Zhong, but today's situation was special. Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to throw his father into danger because he wasn't prepared enough. He had seen too many similar scenes in the movies before. If he didn't prepare in advance despite knowing that there was danger, wouldn't he be a fool? The 40 members of the Zero Squad were no longer as arrogant as they were at the beginning. They looked like they hadn't woken up yet. Compared to the guards, they had less backpacks on their backs and more pockets on their bodies. Some were full, some were empty, and others were full. Outsiders wouldn't even know what was inside. When little Tang saw the 40 people, he was completely relieved. When he looked at the horses of the 40 people, he was even less afraid. If they really encountered danger, as long as they didn't enter the range of the arrows, even 1,000 people here wouldn't be able to stop them from breaking through. The horses were good horses, and each one was worth at least 200 strings of coins. The weapons were also long-handled crescent halberds made of stainless steel. There was also a fixed handle on the horse's body. It was not used to place the halberd but to hold it. When charging on horseback, the outcome of the battle could be decided in one move. The longer the horse was, the stronger the horse was. Whoever could touch the opponent first would basically win. Especially when facing people, don't expect to perform many actions. Usually there was only one action, which was to stab. After the stab, one would have to bear the impact of 2 horses. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had tested it before. It was no different from being hit by a car traveling at 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. If one was stabbed, the force would be concentrated on a certain point, and it would be too easy to cause a penetrating injury. When Zhang Zhong saw that everyone was present and had a comfortable breakfast, he waved his hand and got into another car. This car was not as comfortable as the first one, but it was safer. In case there was an assassination attempt, he had to get a fake one. With so many people, the speed at which they were advancing had also slowed down. In addition, when the guards came, they had Zhang Xiaobao's words, so there was no need to rush. They wanted to give the other party more time to prepare. It would probably be a tug of war to deal with these people. There was no need to rush. They should focus on economic development. Fighting was an art. The most important thing was to achieve their goal, which was to help the people lead a better life. Zhang Zhong was also happy to be idle. He followed the team and walked for 3 days before arriving at Lake Tai. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not come. Otherwise, they would have discovered that Lake Tai was different from the previous one. The size and shape did not overlap. The team followed the captive's directions and came to the foot of the mountain next to Lake Tai. There were terrace fields and trees on the mountain. There were also 2 streams flowing down into Lake Tai. Master, it's here. You can reach the copper mine along the road. You see, the road is wide and the pressure is firm. It's for transporting the ore. The leader of the guards rode forward and came to the side of Zhang Zhong's most luxurious car and said in a loud voice. Zhang Zhong, who was in the other car, said, "Go up the mountain." The team then went up the mountain. When the team had just walked for 3 miles, the mountain road became steeper. Suddenly, more than 10 men appeared on the road in front of them. They were holding sticks in their hands and blocking the way. Who dares to break into the mountain? Before Zhang Zhong's people could ask, one of the men blocking the road first questioned, "Is the mountain yours? Why do you care who it is? If you want to go up, then go up. Are you thieves who occupy the mountain and block the road?" Not everyone had to explain their identity. A person from Zhang Zhong's team came out. He didn't care about the dozens of men staring at him. He urged his horse forward and asked condescendingly. He looked like he was going to start a fight if the answer was not good. The men blocking the road didn't expect that the person who came would be so angry. They were all stunned for a moment. While they were stunned, the Zhang family's guards surrounded them and pointed the weapons in their hands at the men. "Stop, all of you, stop. It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding." Just as the Zhangs were about to make a move, an old man came out from the bushes nearby. He was wearing new linen clothes and leather boots. His hair was tied up in a ponytail with a silver hairpin in it. When he came over, he had a panicked look on his face, but his eyes were calm. He cupped his hands to the leader of the guards, then turned his head and scolded the men. "Why aren't you throwing your weapons away? Don't you want to lose your heads after offending the master?" The men cooperated and threw the weapons in their hands to the ground. They lowered their heads and looked uneasy. The old man turned back, raised his arm, and wiped his forehead with his sleeve. He said to the leader of the guards, "I didn't know that you were coming. Please forgive me for offending you. Because of this, bad people often come here. This village has sent people to guard it. May I know who is on the carriage, sir?" "If you don't know, then don't know. You don't need to know. Get out of the way. Otherwise, don't blame the weapons for having no eyes." The leader of the guards made a good pose and waved his hand. The team continued to move forward. The old man seemed to be anxious. With a sad face, he said pleadingly, "Good man, this old man is the village chief of Shanhu village. If you don't make it clear, this old man can't explain himself." The leader of the guards smiled and handed the knife in his hand to the old man. He curled his lips and said, "The mountain is not your mountain, and the road is not your road. What can you do if you're the village chief? How you explain yourself is your business. What does it have to do with us? If you don't get out of the way, you'll be charged with assaulting an official. Kill! Kill!" The other guards shouted in unison, but there wasn't any murderous intent. The team moved forward with their swords. The men and the old man didn't dare to stop them. When the carriage and horses had passed, the old man spat and said disdainfully, "You're so arrogant. You're so arrogant. Official, what kind of official are you? When you're in Shuzhou, you have to follow behind and see which official the delivery team meets. What bad luck." Zhang Zhong and the others were not fools. As soon as they heard the old man's question, they knew that the old man still did not know their identity. The only reason they stopped them was to see who the official who caused the accident was. As for how they knew it was an official, it was very simple. Those who weren't officials were usually only equipped with a sword. A military bow wasn't that easy to carry. Scout the way. Zhang Zhong, who was in the carriage, instructed the people outside. Immediately, 10 members of the Zero team left the team and ran toward the mountains on both sides. As soon as they entered the grass, their figures disappeared, as if no one had ever been there. This time, the guards were completely convinced, especially those who were added later. They thought that their usual training was already pretty good. Today, when they saw the very mysterious seedling protection team in action, they realized that they were still far from it. They could not even find a trace of them. If this was a battle, a few arrows from the back would be fatal. The remaining 30 members of the Sprout protection team acted as if nothing had happened. Their responsibility was to protect the master. They did not care about the safety of those 10 people. They believed that there was no one here who could win against the members of the Sprout protection team in the mountain station. In fact, it was indeed so. The equipment of the 10 people who were sent to scout the way and check for danger was not what ordinary people could imagine. In addition, they often played hide and seek with people in the jungle and were equipped with the clairvoyance. As long as they met other people, they could discover them in advance. The team continued to move forward without any surprises until they reached a steeper place in front. They had no choice but to stop in the carriage. Tang jumped out of the second carriage and carefully observed the place. There were grass, trees, and a small stream flowing past. There were also 2 thatched cottages. Other than gravel and mud on the road, there were also stairs built along the road. There was even a small pavilion. The scenery was not bad. However, he knew that this was the mining place mentioned by the captives. To be precise, it was a mine cave along the road. Normally speaking, this should be a place with gravel. Otherwise, it would be difficult to transport large pieces of ore. At the same time, it also took up a lot of space. The road up should also be broken. Who would care if the miners were comfortable going up and down? However, this place was filled with fragrant grass and gurgling streams. Not to mention a mine, even the dregs of ore could not be seen. High, it was really high. Tang gave an evaluation. He was not talking about the local miners, but about the young master and young lady. They actually knew what they would do. If they foolishly rushed over in the name of investigating the theft of the mine, not only would it be embarrassing, it would also be easy to be impeached. Since they already knew, there was no need to be anxious. Tang turned back and went to Zhang Zhong's empty carriage. He said, "Master, the carriage in front cannot move forward. Master, please move." As his voice fell, someone brought up a slide pole. There was a cover on it. In fact, it was a palanquin. It stopped beside the carriage. The curtain moved, and the people who lifted the slide pole began to move up. When the group of people moved back and forth, Zhang Zhong changed into a guard's clothes and followed the crowd of guards. He was at a position slightly behind, and he also walked up with a knife in his hand. The 30 people of the protection team protected the slide pole. Step by step, Zhang Zhong carefully looked at the things on the road and on both sides of the road. He could not help but admire this group of people. If it were not for his son and daughter-in-law's reminder, he would have thought that the captured people were talking nonsense. This was clearly a good place to cultivate. When they reached the pavilion, Zhang Zhong looked at the stone used for resting. He didn't know where they found it, but it was actually polished to the point that it looked like jade, coupled with the simple and unadorned pillars and the carvings on them, which had already lost its color. If a scholar saw it, he would definitely compose a poem. Okay, listen to Xiao Bao. In the future, every 10 days or half a month, come and take a look. What's that called? Oh right, it's called the construction of spiritual civilization. Find a scholar to come and write a poem that suits the occasion. Put it in the brothel and the school. Zhang Zhong looked at the scenery in front of him and said to the guard beside him. The guard really did not understand the meaning behind it. Since the master had decided, it was enough to support it. The crowd continued to walk up. After turning a corner, a water bubble appeared in front of them. Oh, perhaps the people here had to call it a lake. From the position, it looked like the location of the mine. Zhang Zhong was puzzled. It was not strange to plant rice on the surface, but this lake was so easy to make. Why didn't it seep down? Amazing. It seemed that he had underestimated these people who stole the mine. The most amazing thing was not the lake, but the light boats in the lake. There were tourists on the lake, and the singing of female singers could be heard. Guan Guan Jujiu, in the river continent. A fair lady, a gentleman's good mate. The voice came from afar. Not to mention Zhang Zhong. Even the guards knew what the song was. They were not sure if the song had just changed, or if the song had just started. Zhang Zhong listened for a while, and looked for a while. He gave a few instructions to the guard beside him. The guard went forward, and whispered to the guard leader. The group approached the lake. The people there seemed to have noticed the group, and came over with a small boat. A person stood at the bow of the boat, and bowed from afar. May I know which elegant scholar is on the shore? Can we board the boat for a chat? Who are you? You dare to alarm the provincial governor? Get out of here quickly! The head guard shouted as he put up a defensive posture. That person did not retreat. Instead, he let the boat come closer and said, Provincial governor? Do you have proof? Whoosh! An arrow flew over, and hit the water in front of that person. This is the proof. If you come any closer, you will be killed. The guard leader warned as he put away the bow. After getting off the boat, he did not dare to continue forward. He turned around and retreated as fast as he could. The person on the boat did not speak anymore. The governor has been alarmed. Return to the residence. The guard leader shouted again. The group began to turn around. The rear group became the front group and slowly left. When the last person in the group disappeared from the mountain, the boat came to the shore as fast as it could. The person who spoke just now jumped down and ran along the side road without saying anything. Zhang Zhong returned to the place where there were vehicles and stopped beside them. Zhang Zhong entered another vehicle and turned around, quickly going down the mountain. After walking for about half a li, 10 people from the protection team were already waiting by the road. There were also 4 people who were tied up and gagged. The guard didn't ask any more questions, and threw the 4 of them into another car. The whole group left the mountain as fast as they could. As for the other place that produced the marble, there was no need to go. It must have been processed by someone else using the same method. Let's go back. Zhang Zhong had achieved his goal. He ordered and leaned his head on the top of the carriage, closing his eyes to rest. The group stirred up a cloud of dust and disappeared. After an hour, the guard who interrogated the 4 people came to report that the 4 people were here to keep an eye on them. They wanted to know who stopped the oars halfway. It was not a big deal to lose the oars once, but they were afraid that they would be watched in the future. When Zhang Zhong rushed over after 2 days, he saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in the courtyard with the 4 little guys skating. It could be said that they were skating. The ice surface was made of marble. It was not a waste at all. The 4 little guys sat on a cushion respectively. There were ropes connecting the front and back of the cushion. The people on both sides pulled back and forth, and the cushion kept moving on the marble floor. The children on the cushion seemed to like this feeling very much. They looked around and giggled. The 4 little guys were still young. Otherwise, Zhang Xiaobao would have made 4 sets of protective clothing, which were knee pads, wrist pads, elbow pads, and helmet. He would also make a few pairs of roller skates. He would bring his younger siblings to roller skate. It would be a waste not to use the marble he picked up. Zhang Zhong also knew that it was not easy to process the stone, but he did not expect his son and daughter-in-law to do it so quickly. The marble surface was polished like a mirror. Xiaobao, come out. Father wants to talk to you. Zhang Zhong still had things to deal with. The 4 children had servant girls to play with, so there was no need for Zhang Xiaobao to guard there. Father, what's wrong? Zhang Xiaobao asked curiously after he came out. Nothing. They built a lake. I don't know how they did it. It only took 2 or 3 days. They are quite skilled. Zhang Zhong told his son what he saw. When Zhang Xiaobao heard that there was a lake there, he did not think much of it. As long as there was enough manpower, it could be done even with buckets. He just thought that the other party was a bit stupid. Couldn't they just make a field? If they had to make a lake, how could it not seep? It was just a matter of how much seeped. Could it be that they were not going to dig again in the future? Otherwise, how much effort would it take to get the water out of the lake, and then clean up the water in the mine? After pondering for a while, Zhang Xiaobao said to his father, Father, I will give you a plan tomorrow. You just need to follow it. The focus is still on the people's livelihood. While the Zhang family was happy, some people were worried. The people in the government office of Shuzhou just found out that the copper and marble mines were being targeted. 4.5 days later, another piece of news made them worried. They never expected that Zhang Zhong would go there for no reason. Usually, there were people watching Zhang Zhong, but Zhang Zhong was always wandering around. Why would he go to Lake Tai on a whim? Even if the people watching were beaten to death, they would not be able to do anything. How dare they be lazy and think that Zhang Zhong was always wandering around? The county magistrate of Lake Tai, the magistrate of the state, and the military registrar had all arrived. They gathered at the top of the near the river restaurant. Even though the waiter served the dishes one after another, no one touched their chopsticks. Zhang Zhong's appearance was like a huge mountain pressing down on their hearts. My lords, what should we do? Are we not going to mine there anymore? The county magistrate of Lake Tai was in charge of that place, so he was the most worried. He asked the others first. The others did not want to push all the blame to the county magistrate of Lake Tai. After all, everyone came up with the plan together. Moreover, the county magistrate of Lake Tai did nothing wrong. He even sent people to scout ahead. Not to mention him. Even if it was anyone else, they would not be able to avoid it. What they had to do now was to find a way to make up for it. The military registrar poured himself a glass of wine and drank it. He exhaled heavily and said, "Fortunately, you have turned that place into a lake. After Zhang Zhong goes there to take a look, he will definitely think that the people we caught are lying. You did a good job, but the goods were taken by Zhang Zhong. In any case, we have been exposed. Zhang Zhong is not stupid. Even if he can't find it in that place, he will think that we are secretly mining somewhere else. It all depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to send troops there, he can only send troops. I think there will be some of his people in the troops. We can't hide." "Yes, that's right. It seems that we will lose a lot of money. If Zhang Zhong sets his eyes on us, it will not only be a matter of losing money. If we don't do it well, we will lose our official positions. If Zhang Zhong catches us, we may not even be able to live." The military registrar of Lake Tai also said. He had long eyebrows. When he spoke, his eyebrows became 8 characters. Hearing his words, the county magistrate of Taihu Lake was the one who was most afraid. After all, he was directly in charge of that area. His sweat kept flowing out. In addition to the hot weather, after a while, his clothes were wet. He looked at the registrar with a pleading look and said, "My lord, you have to save this lowly one. Who knows where Zhang Zhong would go for no reason? Furthermore, he doesn't make a big fuss like the others. Instead, he just brings people over whenever he wants to. I have to get people to carry water every day. Otherwise the lake would be gone." Humph. Zhang Zhong has only been an official for a few years. He has been promoted to such a position. Naturally, he can't be the same as others. What's more, the guards in his house are equipped with the best weapons. Even his horse is not ordinary. He is not afraid of being assassinated. If it were me, I would also dare to go out for a stroll. Since this has happened, we can only blame ourselves for using the wrong people. The people who were sent to monitor Zhang Zhong dared to be lazy. But it's useless. We have to kill them. This matter has to be solved. But this is also good. We can see Zhang Zhong's reaction. He has already been there once. If he comes to ask us, we won't be able to deny it. That's right. Immediately arrange for people to find a place to build a quarry. The stones are also part of the rent. The military registrar spoke at this time. In fact, he didn't have a better idea. If they were caught, it would be difficult to solve the matter. The other people also couldn't think of any other way. They could only continue to report this matter and see what the higher-ups said. They couldn't stop production. "Sir, can I continue to mine now? Oh, I have to spend a lot of money again." The county magistrate of Taihu County was distressed about the money. He used a few days to take a break. In the end, he spent more than 2,000 strings of coins. This was only because the local people could get some benefits. If he continued to mine, it would cost more than 2,000 strings of coins. Especially for the small lake. Not only did he have to remove the water, but he also had to put in a lot of effort in the mine to continue mining. This money could only be paid by the people of Shuzhou. As a county magistrate, his position was the lowest. Naturally, he had to pay the most. It was estimated that he had to work for free for 6 months this year. The other people calculated differently from the county magistrate. They didn't calculate how much money they had to pay. They calculated the difference between the money they received and the money they took out if nothing happened. The military registrar didn't know if he should continue mining immediately to make up for the loss. He thought about it and said, "Don't worry. Wait for 10 days. If nothing happens, it won't be too late to start mining again. Someone will send you the news. What you need to do now is to watch the local people. It's best to give them more benefits. Don't let them leak the situation there. Otherwise, no one can protect you." "Yes, sir. Yes, my lord, I understand. I will go back and make the arrangements. I will definitely not let anyone speak of what happened over there. My lord, don't worry. I will definitely not be bad at using people." "Oh, my lord, I am not saying that you are bad at using people. No, I mean I will wait and listen to my lord." The county magistrate of Taihu County suddenly realized that he had said something wrong when he was making his promise. The most fundamental reason this time was that the people who were watching Zhang Zhong thought that Zhang Zhong would go home after taking a stroll around the nearby area like before. In the end, they went to drink. When the matter came out, it was too late to say anything. After making his promise, the county magistrate of Taihu County saw that the other officials didn't say anything. He tactfully found an opportunity to leave and go back to make arrangements as soon as possible. He didn't want them to vent their anger on him. After he left, the rest of the people began to eat and drink slowly. The wine and dishes that they usually thought tasted good tasted like wax today. Even so, they still pretended to be calm and ate. "Sir, why don't we give Zhang Zhong some trouble and let him know how powerful we are? Fortunately, we'll give in on the mine. I've thought about it. We can poison the poultry and livestock raised by the people. As long as they die from the poison, Zhang Zhong will definitely be worried if he wants to let the people live a good life." The Secretary General put down his chopsticks and expressed his idea. 2 people nodded at the side, thinking that this was a good idea. However, the Secretary General sneered and said, "Are you trying to force Zhang Zhong to go against us? Maybe they've noticed something, or maybe he's still thinking. It's easy for you to poison, but how many people can you poison? It's useless if there's too little poison, but if there's too much poison, then Zhang Zhong will catch people. As long as he gives us away, we can't do anything to avoid suspicion. Sir, don't worry about this. Zhang Zhong won't be able to detect it. We'll act quickly, and then run quickly. That way, he won't know who did it," the Secretary General added. "If he doesn't know who did it, then how can he give in? Does he know who to give in to? Remind him from the side. Then the first people he'll deal with will be us, not the poultry and livestock raised by the people. Do you think he's a fool? He'll get rid of us first. Then he can continue to let the people live a good life." The Secretary General glared at the Secretary General. He was usually very smart, so why was he acting like a fool now? After he said this, the others couldn't say anything else. The Secretary General took a breath and said, "Don't rush. It'll be troublesome if something goes wrong. Wait a moment and see what Zhang Zhong will do. Drink." Everyone could only listen to him. They all picked up the wine and drank it down, all of them looking worried. After waiting for 10 days, Zhang Zhong seemed to have forgotten about that matter and put all his energy into helping the people improve their standard of living. The Secretary General and the others felt that it was about time, so they ordered the county magistrate of Taihu County to start mining again. After another 2 days, when they thought that the matter was over for the time being, Zhang Zhong suddenly invited them to a banquet at his home. They were puzzled and tried to guess what Zhang Zhong meant. Before going to Zhang Zhong's home, which was the house behind the state capital, they gathered to discuss what would happen when Zhang Zhong invited them over. The Secretary General was pushed to the front. The Secretary General asked first, "Sir, what do you think Zhang Zhong wants to do this time? Is it about the mines, the people, or completely compromising with us, so that he can get a share of the benefits?" "Are you dreaming? Get a share of the benefits? Don't you know how much money Zhang Zhong's family has? Yes, I don't know either. But I know that it's definitely more than the entire mine. Would he care about that? It's probably about the people. The Secretary General couldn't guess it, but he had to say it. The news had already been sent up, but they hadn't arrived yet. The new orders from the higher-ups hadn't come down yet. He didn't have a pigeon to send him information. Even if he did, he couldn't use it. The pigeon flying back and forth was too obvious. However, he couldn't lose face. He could only find a reason to tell others to show his ability. Sir, you're right. Zhang Zhong's family doesn't lack money. It's impossible that he wants to get a share of the benefits. It can't be about the mines either. Otherwise, wouldn't it be obvious? Besides, he doesn't have any evidence. It's probably about the people. The Secretary General quickly flattered at the side. They couldn't figure out why Zhang Zhong was looking for them, so they just casually said a few words. When the time came, it would be fine as long as they didn't match up. The 7 people came to the house at the back at noon. Ever since Zhang Zhong came over, they hadn't come here once. They didn't know what Zhang Zhong had done to his home, but they guessed that it wouldn't be too luxurious. Otherwise, once they left, there would be nothing left. It wouldn't be worth it to leave it for the next person. Usually, when a rich person took office, they would choose to buy a house in another place. Even if they left office, it would still be the property of their family. It was impossible to transfer it to others. After all, when they bought it with the identity of an official, the price would be cheap. Everyone knew this. But when they really entered the Zhang family's courtyard, they all felt that they didn't have eyes. It was really too beautiful. The ground and the road were all paved with bluestone. Beside it was yellow sand. There were also all kinds of beautiful flowers and plants. Even the big trees were moved in. It was a very magical thing to see them die. In addition to this, there were high mountains and flowing water. They didn't know how the water came up, but it flowed down from the rockery. There was a small pond at the bottom. In the pond, there were a few red fish swimming slowly. While the 7 people were shocked, no one thought that Zhang Zhong was stupid. He really wasn't stupid. It was because Zhang Zhong was rich and knew how to enjoy life. He didn't have to worry about being found trouble. The 7 people came in. Zhang Zhong personally welcomed them. The servant girls standing next to him were wearing the same clothes. This was nothing. The main thing was that the 2 rows of servant girls didn't look like servant girls. They were more elegant than some daughters of slightly wealthy families. People didn't dare to look at them directly to avoid offending them. Ability, real ability. The 7 people had the same feeling in their hearts. Previously, they looked down on Zhang Zhong, thinking that he had only been an official for a short time, and wasn't the son of an aristocratic family. Now no one would think so. Then, they thought of the person who helped Zhang Zhong deal with the official affairs, and were confused for a moment. How on earth did the Zhang family do it? The servant girls looked like the kind of people who were educated and polite. The male servants were also able to help with the official affairs. Could it be that the Zhang family found people from other places? Zhang Zhong didn't know what the 7 people were thinking, but he didn't have time to care. He was very happy today, and was ready to fool people. Even though he was a high-ranking official, it was still a happy thing to have the opportunity to fool people. Following his directions, the crowd walked through one courtyard after another. Finally, they came to the courtyard that was paved with marble. It was actually the courtyard of the 4 little guys. It was needless to say how beautiful it was, especially in the center position. There was a 3-story structure, small building. Sit, everyone sit. I've troubled you a lot. Today's weather is warm, so we can drink and have fun in the courtyard. Zhang Zhong said to the 7 people with a smile. He sat at the head of the table. Immediately, someone served tea and snacks. It seemed that he was not in a hurry to eat. The 7 people originally thought that they would be able to eat in the main hall. They didn't expect that they would be arranged to eat in a very remote courtyard. They had no intention of entering the house at all. As for what Zhang Zhong said about the weather being warm, there was no need to mention it. It was always warm, and they were sweating nonstop. It was summer. The judicial military officer was dissatisfied. He took a sip of the tea. It tasted good, but it couldn't dispel his anger of not being able to eat in the house. Thus he said, Sir, why don't we find a better place? This humble official doesn't think that this place is small. I'm sure we can find it. What? Zhang Zhong's face darkened when he heard this. Is it unfair for military officer Fan to stay here? Do you know where this place is? If I didn't invite you all here, normal people wouldn't even think of coming in. Look at that house. It's where my family and the 4 youngest children of the Wang family live. If others want to come here, it's a dream. What if they bring in their illness? Look at the things in the courtyard. They're inlaid with gold and silver. Even the ground is made of marble. Do you want me to lead you to that small house? Hearing Zhang Zhong's words, the 7 people were shocked. They began to look around the courtyard. It was just as Zhang Zhong said. It looked simple, but they had never seen anything that was casually taken out. They could only guess how it was used, let alone how much it was worth. They looked at the small 3-story house. There really were 4 children crawling back and forth inside. One of the little girls had even climbed to the first floor. She pushed open the small door on the first floor and stuck her head out to look at the people curiously. She was a little afraid of strangers. She whispered a few words and then shrunk her head back to close the door. In addition, the windows were made of glass that had just been sold in the capital at a very high price. The 7 people didn't dare to be picky in this regard. The cute appearance of the children, the decorations of the small house, and the various layouts here. It was just as Zhang Zhong said. There was no place more noble than this courtyard. The judicial military attaché, who had just spoken, was frightened. His eyes were fixed on the 3-story house. Through the glass, he could see what kind of carpet was laid out inside. The entire house was worth no less than 50,000 strings of coins. Sir, don't be angry. It's all because attaché Fan has seen little of the world. How could he understand the benefits of this courtyard? Sir, actually let us stay in the place of your son and young wife. It can be seen how much importance Sir places on us. Attaché Fan, why haven't you apologized to Sir? The military attaché further understood what it meant to be rich and overbearing. If the entire courtyard, the house, and all kinds of strange things were added together, it definitely exceeded 100,000 strings of coins. Which family's children could enjoy such treatment? Even the palace couldn't. Even the crown prince's grandson couldn't spend 100,000 strings of coins to let the children have a place to play. It was impossible to sleep in the courtyard at night, right? The judicial military attaché was like the little girl just now. He was so scared that he didn't dare to look directly at Zhang Zhong. He lowered his head and said, Sir, please don't lower yourself to the same level as me. It's okay. To be honest, the ground here originally wasn't paved with marble. A few days ago, I was interested and went outside for a walk. As a result, I found a lot of marble. It's just right for the children to play with. It's very interesting to slide around on it. Before the judicial military attaché could finish his apology, Zhang Zhong interrupted him and pointed to the marble on the ground. The 7 people were just calculating how much the courtyard cost. When they heard Zhang Zhong's words, their hearts jumped. What did he mean? Marble? Was this the marble that should be taken away, but was left behind by Zhang Zhong? Did he mention the marble to talk about something? How should they deal with it? The 7 people didn't know what to say for a while. They were afraid. They were afraid that Zhang Zhong would directly ask people to arrest them. Although Zhang Zhong's children were not far away, how could they go over to threaten Zhang Zhong? It was obvious that if they really rushed over, they would definitely be shot into hedgehogs. Since Zhang Zhong dared to put the place in the children's courtyard, he would naturally make the corresponding preparations. Did he deliberately want them to rush over? Then he would have an excuse to kill. The 7 people didn't know what to say. They could only look at Zhang Zhong and listen to him. Zhang Zhong looked very happy when he saw the 7 people's faces. It was fun. It was really fun. He knew that he had given them enough pressure, so he said, although the decoration of my house is good, I'm not happy at all. What's the use of having a good family? The people in Shuzhou have a good life. Sir is really a good official. We are not as good as you, but we can help the people live a good life. We will definitely listen to Sir. Even if it's a mountain of blades or a sea of flames, we will not fear it. The registrar carefully followed Zhang Zhong's words. He really didn't know what Zhang Zhong wanted to do. Zhang Zhong nodded solemnly. If everyone can think this way, this official's heart will feel much better. In fact, this official knows that as long as the people follow that set of methods to raise poultry and livestock, they will be able to earn more money. But what's the use? In order to let the people live a better life, His Majesty specially built a pear garden. Local officials like us should be considerate of His Majesty. I wonder if anyone has a way to let the people of Shuzhou have as many happy things as the people of the capital? Zhang Zhong's words made the 7 people even more confused. What did he mean? Could it be that he also wanted to build a pear garden in Shuzhou? Sure. Thus the registrar said, Sir, do you want to build a pear garden? Sir, we are willing to help you build a pear garden. The other 6 people also nodded, looking like they were really going to work hard. Sir, perhaps we can build a pear garden in each county of this province, so that the people can go and take a look when they have free time. The registrar also agreed. Zhang Zhong felt very good. He finally understood what Old Man Pai meant when he said that subordinates couldn't figure out the thoughts of their superiors. Seeing that the 7 people were waiting for him to speak, Zhang Zhong shook his head and said, No, now is not the time. We can only start with small things such as poetry. This official went to Lake Tai a few days ago and found that there is a good mountain there. The scenery is beautiful, and there is a lake. Chapter 561. The county magistrate of Taihu County had just found someone to clean up the water in the lake and half of the mine. Just as he was about to start production again, a letter arrived on a fast horse, causing him to stand on the mountaintop in a daze. Grandmother, what were you doing earlier? Who's paying for this? Who's paying for this? Stop draining the water. Block it up. Once you're done, bring the water back. Hurry up, it's going to be too late. The county magistrate of Taihu County held the letter in his trembling hands and roared loudly. Aggrieved, it was really too aggrieved. Others just came over, and he had to spend a lot of money. Who could he blame? Whoever sent people to slack off should be held responsible. Why did he have to do all the hard work? The commoners were obedient and did as they were told. After all, they were paid and were not afraid of working for nothing. They understood that if they were paid more, it wasn't just their wages. There was also money to keep their mouths shut. When they heard the new order, they started to work hard to block the entrance of the mine. They also brought buckets of water over. This time, they were more familiar with it, and were faster than the previous time. After the county magistrate of Taihu County was aggrieved for a while, he endured the depression in his heart. He still had to find people to attend to the provincial governor. At the very least, he had to make a few decent scenic spots for people to compose poems about. It was another sum of money. He could not expect the provincial governor to give him this money. There was never such a rule. If he had to rely on his salary, his family would have starved to death. Zhang Zhong, oh Zhang Zhong, how can you let people live? You're here to clean people up. You can't be greedy. If you're not greedy, you won't have the money to attend to the provincial governor. Then why do you have to come here? Your family is rich, but you have to think about other people's lives. The county magistrate of Taihu County mumbled and took out money from his family to decorate. Other than the scenic spots, he also had to take care of the food and wine. He also had to repair the roads and find people to attend to the provincial governor. Which of these did not cost money? He wanted to leave the yamen, but did not dare to do so. Zhang Zhong was here to collect taxes. He could not touch the books. He could not afford to live anymore. Zhang Zhong didn't care about what others thought. Normally, as long as he increased the rental tax, he would be able to earn more than 150,000 strings of cash this year and next year. Even if he completed the mission, he wouldn't think about leaving. However, Li Sun's fief was here. If he didn't help him deal with the local officials, it would be difficult for him to do things in the future. Today this official delayed the government affairs. Tomorrow another official came looking for trouble. Li Sun really couldn't handle it. Furthermore, if he still allowed others to secretly mine the 2 mines, Li Sun would become a laughingstock. Outsiders were allowed to meddle in his own territory. It was no longer a matter of money. It was also because of this that Zhang Zhong decided to deal with all the people who needed to be dealt with. Those who had connections would be moved to another place, and those who had no connections would either have to obediently compromise or be removed from office. Early the next morning, in order to make this matter seem grand, Zhang Zhong and Wang family's people moved. Only the yamen runners from the prefectural government were left to patrol outside the courtyard. They did not allow others to enter. Not a single person from the Zhang family and Wang family was left. Zhang Zhong did not believe that the yamen runners would dare to have any bad ideas. When the 7 people from the military registrar brought the other officials and attendants to prepare, the Zhang family and Wang family's group appeared. Just like when they arrived, they were majestic. The entire group stretched out for 2 li from the beginning to the end. It was not an ordinary style. In particular, the aura that the people from the inner courtyard exuded made people not dare to look directly at them. In addition, there were men and women wearing clothes of the same color. Even if no one was sounding the gong to clear the street still appeared very quiet. The commoners were curious, but they were not disgusted. One reason was because they were used to the style of officials. Another reason was that they understood whose family this was. Since they were Governor Zhang's family, they had to be treated differently. Governor Zhang was a good person. He had found new ways to make money for them. Furthermore, such a group was very eye-catching. As soon as the group left the city, the bodyguards unsheathed their sabers and readied their bows and urged their horses to gallop back and forth. In the group, there were also a few lookouts supported by carriages. The 4 people on the lookouts each held a clairvoyance and looked into the distance. The lookouts were more eye-catching, but the most eye-catching thing was a house in the middle of the group. It had a total of 3 floors. Each floor was not tall, but when all 3 floors were added together, it was not short. There were beautiful decorations on the roof and transparent glass windows. From time to time, a child's curious head would appear near the glass windows. He looked around and occasionally said a few words from his mouth. The military registrar and the others had already seen it once. At that time, the house was still on the ground. At this moment there were several large wheels underneath. It was not a big deal that there were wheels. What was most surprising was that when other carriages passed by a large ditch, they would shake and make clanging sounds. When they passed by this house, it was as if they were passing by a small pit. They did not even shake much, let alone hear any sounds. Upon closer inspection, they realized that this car house was different from the other carriages. The wheels at the bottom were different from other wheels. In the middle, there was a thick iron bar connecting the outer ring. The outer ring was not made of wood or iron, and there were no rivets. It was not clear what it was exactly. They only saw that when they encountered a pit, the wheels of other carriages would directly crash into it. However, the moment the wheels of this house hit a stone or pit, they seemed to be able to change their shape a little with Weiwei. All the force of the collision was eliminated because of Weiwei's change of shape. At least, it was not as obvious as other carriages. What was even more surprising was that when they encountered a small slope, other carriages would lean back. But this house would slowly adjust itself to the slope. When they leaned back, the back of the house would tilt up. The more they leaned back, the greater the tilt would be. When they leaned back, the front of the house would tilt up again. It kept the house flat all the time. It was really amazing. It was definitely the most comfortable to stay inside. There were so many carriages in the group, but only this house with wheels had such a shape. Even Zhang Zhong's car could not enjoy this. This was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had specially done for their younger siblings. The tires were made of various kinds of gum, and the inner tube was also made of several layers of shark foam glue. It was naturally better than other carriages when it was inflated. As for why the house would change during the process of climbing and descending, it was because of dynamic balance. When the center of gravity of the entire house changed, there would immediately be mercury flowing in it, which would drive the force of the lever, causing the house to change its center of gravity in the opposite direction. Finally, it would achieve balance. If it was placed on a fast carriage, such a simple equipment would not have any effect at all. However, the moving speed of the house was not fast. It could not reach the level of dozens of kilometers per hour. The simple equipment was enough to support the balance adjustment. At the place where the wheels and the house were connected, there were steel shock absorbers. The 4 children in the house received the least vibration. Of course, they did not know what they were enjoying. All of them were very excited to be able to come out and see the scenery, and they laughed cheerfully from time to time. The adults of the Zhang family and the Wang family did not have any intention of stopping Xiaobao and Wang Wan from doing what they were doing. They left the best for their children. Moreover, the carriage they were in could not achieve dynamic balance. The consequence of being too simple was that the equipment was relatively large. Unless the carriage was made as big as the house, it would be fine. Outsiders did not know the principle of the house's shock absorber, nor did they know why it could be adjusted back and forth, but this did not prevent them from being shocked. If a country's cutting-edge military strength showed the country's comprehensive strength, then the house of the 4 children told everyone how powerful the Zhang family was. Therefore, when they were on the road, all the people near the house could not help but look at the house. One was because they were amazed, and the other was because the 4 children were very cute. As long as you made a face or something to them, they would smile back at you. If someone could enter the house, they would find that it was very comfortable to stay in the house. No matter how cold or hot the outside changed, the inside of the house was almost the same. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew that the temperature in the house was basically between 23 and 27 degrees. When it was hot, there would be a cool breeze in the interlayer, and when it was cold, there would be a hot breeze in the interlayer. The cool breeze was produced by blowing ice, and the hot breeze was produced by putting lime in water. This required people to personally adjust it, and it was far from being automated. The measuring tool was a mercury thermometer, which was not very accurate. The boiling point was easy to grasp, but the freezing point was not. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could only try to mix water and ice equally. Then, they used this temperature as 0 degrees. It was impossible to make it so accurate, but it was still within the general range. Because it was not accurate, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan let people set the temperature in the house between 23 and 27 degrees, and the average was 25 degrees. As long as the thermometer was out, it was fine. As for how much glass was damaged and how many times it was tested, it was not a problem for the 2 of them to consider. This was the work of a craftsman, to achieve a certain success in a failed experiment. During the day, the house of the little ones had become the focus of the group. However, at night, the light bulbs in the house were no longer the focus but the fear. All along, there had only been torches, bonfires, oil lamps, and wax. Since when had there been such a beautiful thing that didn't emit fire? In the house of the children, there was a light bulb in the hall of the 3rd floor. Outside the house, there were people who were stepping on something. If they stepped faster, the light bulb would be brighter. If they stepped slower, the light bulb would be dimmer. If they did not step on it, it would be extinguished. 5 or 6 people were found in the inner courtyard, and each of them took turns to step on it for half an hour. Slowly, they got used to the speed, so that the light bulb was always at a relatively stable brightness. This was the invention of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in the first 2 days. The light bulb was made of bamboo charcoal wire, and the outside was blown-out glass. The air inside was extracted as much as possible, and then it was sealed. The 2 of them were not ready to reach Edison's level at once, and they did not expect to burn for thousands of hours. It was enough to burn for a day. They could improve slowly. This was the advantage of standing on the shoulders of giants. Knowing the process and direction of development of things, there was no need to take detours. Although there were many aspects of electricity that could not be controlled, after all, when the light was on, it was progress. With a direction, it could be left to others to study. The little ones were the first to enjoy this treatment. Except for the light bulbs used by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they were the first to shine in front of outsiders. When the others were drooling, Zhang Zhong was the first to react. He shouted to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were sitting outside the house reading books with the help of the light from their younger brother and sister. "Xiaobao, Cuckoo, come here. The adults have something to ask." "Dad, what's the matter?" Zhang Xiaobao closed the book and came to the two adults with Wang Wan. He asked knowingly, "What's that?" Zhang Zhong pointed at the light bulb and asked. "Light, it's on," Zhang Xiaobao answered honestly. "What's it for?" Zhang Zhong asked again. "It's for the younger brother and sister. Otherwise, what can we do? Candles? That won't do. Although there are certain things in the house that can set fire, once the candles burn, it will be difficult to breathe. Don't worry about this. It won't easily catch fire, and it won't affect breathing." Zhang Xiaobao's reason was very good, and it was also the case. The reason why he and Wang Wan took it out early was for their younger brother and sister to use. If they always looked at the candles, the children would not be able to adjust themselves, and it was easy for them to be nearsighted. The sooner they made the light, the sooner they could solve this hidden danger. When Zhang Zhong heard his son's answer, he turned to look at the other 7 people of the 2 families, meaning that it was indeed the case. If there was a need, Xiaobao and Cuckoo would immediately make the corresponding thing. Everything was the kind of existence that defied the natural order. If they did not see it with their own eyes, who would believe it? When they made the cement, it was to strengthen the sea wall. When they made the glass, it was to reduce the damage to the eyes of the people who burned the cement. When they made the tires and dynamic balance, it was to make the little ones less bumpy. Now they once again made such a dazzling thing for their younger brother and sister. It seemed that their younger brother and sister held a considerable weight in their hearts. Many things, including this house, were made for the 4 little ones. For example, the marble floor was made for the convenience of the little ones when they slid back and forth on it. Too much, too much. For the 4 of them, how could the 2 of you? How could the 2 of you? Why didn't you say anything in advance? It was so scary. Zhang Zhong pointed at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, wanting to say something, but found that he could not organize his words. Zhang Xiaobao snickered in his heart but said, "Dad, why didn't you say anything? Didn't you say a few days ago that Cuckoo and I were going to make something bright for Xiaobei and the others? You still said so, then hurry up and do it." "Ah, you said this last time? The bright thing is some kind of a lamp?" Zhang Zhong recalled. He did say that before. But who would have thought that the bright thing was something that should not appear in the mortal world? There was also that thing called a thermometer, which could be used by Pomegranate and Xiaohong. It could also be used in the little one's house, so that the temperature inside would always be within a certain range. When one put their head in to feel, it would be very comfortable. No wonder the little ones were not willing to come out. It was so good to be in home. It was not cold, not hot. Zhang Zhong really did not know what to say to his son and daughter-in-law. Good things should be given to the younger brother and sister first. The 3rd pin officer's car did not say that it would not be so bumpy when crossing ditches, and it would not lean back when going uphill. The little ones only went to enjoy it. How could they know that the thing they were using did not belong to this mortal world? Okay, what else is there to say? In the future, make more of these lights, and put them in the house to brighten it up. Jiang Wang clan saw that Zhang Zhong wanted to find an excuse to talk about Xiaobao and Cuckoo, so she was immediately dissatisfied. She helped him and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Go read your books. Don't worry about your dad. Your dad is envious of the good things that Xiaobei and the others have. He's already an adult, but he's still competing with the children." "I'm not." "Okay, don't say any more. Go, this light is really beautiful." Before Zhang Zhong could explain, Jiang Wang clan interrupted him and waved her hand. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went back to reading. In fact, the 2 of them wanted to see how the light was like. Xiaobao and Cuckoo don't have it easy either. Their children are born in rich families, but our Xiaobao and Cuckoo have to help their families at such a young age. When they grow up, we have to talk to them about the current situation. Without their older brothers and sisters, they wouldn't be able to live such good lives. Seeing that her son and daughter-in-law had left, Jiang Wang clan complained to Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong sighed. "I'm not talking about them. I'm just worried that they will make too many heaven-defying things and shorten their lifespan. Look at that light. Is it something that should appear in the mortal world? Do you think that I don't know? Now that people are kicking it, it means that in the future, We can use wind and water to make that thing turn. I've also learned quite a bit now. Anything that requires manpower and animals to do can be replaced by wind and water. If I'm not wrong, a river will be specially drawn from the backyard of the manor to light up this lantern. Isn't this heaven-defying? How much does it cost to light candles? With this light, it's just a little bit of glass. It's not like you don't know what glass is made of. It's much cheaper than wax. The cost of this light is basically the cost of a stick of wax, or even less. Just put it in the water, and it will save a lot of money. I'm worried about such a heaven-defying thing. We can't let anything happen to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo because of these 4 little guys. If we don't have to do it in the future, then we shouldn't do it. Don't other children live well without this thing? Jiang Wang clan and the other family members finally understood that Zhang Zhong was worried about Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. That's right, if this family suddenly lost 2 sensible children, or little immortals, one day, they didn't dare to imagine what would happen. Even if the days were tough, they couldn't let the 2 children be struck by lightning. Yes, the 2 children weren't afraid of lightning, and had lightning rods. Even the house was equipped with lightning rods. What if the heavens thought of another way? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did as Zhang Zhong said. They sat outside the house, and thought about how to use water to replace manpower. The best way was to specially draw a river in the manor. The 2 of them were very troubled about how to change the voltage. Although it was easy to generate electricity, it was difficult to make a transformer. Wang Wan couldn't make that thing. Moreover, electricity could only be generated and used at the same time. It couldn't be stored. Wang Wan only knew that the battery seemed to have sulfuric acid and lead plates. As for the specifics, she didn't know and didn't know how to use them. In this regard, the 2 of them couldn't even compare to a person who repaired cars all year round. With that kind of experienced person, he could make the battery, voltage regulator, and transformer himself. Look, they're not sleepy. They like to stay in bright places. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the place on the 2nd floor. The 4 little guys were crowded in the hall, snatching and throwing the toys in front of them. Especially Xiaobei, she was like a little tyrant. She snatched whatever others played with. After she got it, she threw it in her hand, and continued to snatch it when she saw others playing with something else. She repeated it endlessly. No one knew what she wanted to play. Or rather, she just wanted to snatch other people's things to play with. When they're tired, they can sleep. We'll see when the time comes. If they really can't, we'll carry them out. Actually, it's better to sleep in the house. There are so many people now and it's lively, so they don't want to sleep. How fortunate. If only we had a house like this when we were 1 year old. Wang Wan waved her hand at her younger brother, who was lying on the window. The little guy chuckled and called out, "Sister." His saliva flowed out. If we let you live in such a house when we were 1 year old, you wouldn't live in it. You're not a real child. Zhang Xiaobao opened the window and wiped the little guy's mouth. He stuffed him back to play with the other 3. I'm talking about the past. Then you've forgotten when you grew up. Who could let you live in such a house in the past? Just the cashmere carpet inside is enough to buy a small villa. This is genuine and pure cashmere, not fake cashmere with soft leather and coarse hair. Coupled with this kind of agarwood frame, even a seaside villa has come out. Keep your voice down. Don't let our family hear you. Only you can do such a thing. After wandering in the Sherwan Mountains for so long, you cut down a lot of big agarwood. Then you tell our family that it's mahogany. It's not much. It's not much. You didn't use money to buy it at all. Other people take a small piece, either to make medicinal herbs or as incense. It's already precious enough. You're good. You used it to build a house. It's fine if others don't know. Didn't you see the look in your mother's eyes every time she saw this house? She even helped you hide it. I don't dare to say that it's expensive. Wang Wan really didn't know what to do with Zhang Xiaobao. She did whatever she wanted. Big agarwood was hard to find. Usually, a small piece was very expensive. She didn't go to the Sherwan Mountains in vain. She found it, and came back to build a house for her younger siblings. Fortunately, she pasted a layer of colored paper on the outermost surface. Otherwise, how could others not see it? Especially Zhang Xiaobao's mother. She had seen everything. When it was just built, she found something wrong at first sight. She followed the lie and said that it was mahogany. Even if I cut it down, I'll still plant it. This is the wealth left for the little guys. If they need it one day, I'll let them break down the house they played in when they were young. Selling the wood can guarantee a lifetime of wealth. It smells really good. It's time to put other spices on the outside. In the future, try not to take it out and let more people see it. Zhang Xiaobao didn't feel that there was anything wrong with what he did. It was not a waste to give it to his younger siblings. It was better than burning it. While the two of them were chatting, a sensible official who accompanied them outside roasted some hoof tendons and brought them over. Accompanied by the guards, he handed the hoof tendons to the Zhang and Zhong families with a smile on his face and said, "Brother Zhang, this is the Zhang and Zhong families. I just roasted the hoof tendons. It's chewy and not stuffed. It's just right for the young master and his wife. The children in my family eat this." Chapter 562. Everyone had a good time that night. Even the officials who were hostile to Zhang Zhong didn't go to bed until very late. After all, it was rare to have such a lively night, not to mention that it was under the atmosphere of a bonfire. None of the officials dared to casually comment on Zhang Zhong's good or bad. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the house. Some were contemplative, some were curious, and some wanted to own it. However, none of the officials could figure out what the glowing thing was. Similarly, they couldn't figure out why the house could move on its own. Everyone only understood one thing, and that was that the Zhang family and the Wang family valued the 4 children very much. They didn't eat anything given by outsiders, and they didn't use any toys given by outsiders. Someone suggested that they make clothes for them, but that suggestion was also rejected. When they were sleeping that night, the judicial military supervisor even suggested kidnapping the 4 children to threaten Zhang Zhong. Without a doubt, that idea was vetoed by the other people in the same tent. If they really dared to kidnap the children, regardless of whether they succeeded or not, it wouldn't be a simple matter of dealing with Zhang Zhong. If they failed or succeeded, they would have to face the Zhang family's pursuit. There was absolutely no doubt that the Zhang family wouldn't use any official means to solve this matter. The worried people were very satisfied with the food. Even the 7 people who had eaten at Zhang Zhong's house yesterday and didn't taste anything had to admit that the cooks at Near the River restaurant were far inferior to the cooks at Zhang Zhong and the Wang family. They could make the simplest dish with the most complicated method, and they could also make the most difficult dish with the simplest method. Even the barbecue was different from other places. The meat skewers that were made without lamb were so tender. When they asked what they put in, the cooks refused to say. It was a secret. Everyone slept through the night with their own thoughts and woke up early the next morning. Under the leadership of the judicial military supervisor, everyone ate very slowly. When they set off, they couldn't move faster. Zhang Zhong understood that this was to buy time for Mountain Lake Village. After all, they had just removed the lake, and it would be even more difficult to build a new one. The soaked ground was too muddy. Zhang Zhong did not rush them. It was like bringing the 2 families on a trip together. Wang Wan's father also received the corresponding courtesy. He was a 4th-rank official after all. Even if he was dismissed, he was still an official. At the very least, his wife also received the title of a 4th-rank imperial lady. The most direct benefit was the salary. Another benefit was that they would be treated differently when they were in court. The large group of people and horses moved forward slowly. The slow little ones occasionally came down and ran with the group. When they passed by the small river, they could even play by the side for a while. Since no one was in a hurry, they would just drag it out. In the end, it took them 7 days to arrive at their destination. The county magistrate of Taihu County had already finished all the preparations and brought a group of people to welcome them. Apart from the officials, there were also scholars who could accompany them and recite poems. Compared to Luzhou, Xuzhou was indeed much better. At the very least, those who could enter the school were not people Luzhou could compare to. They had already known about this mission in advance. In advance, each of them had prepared a few poems that they thought were good enough to avoid embarrassing themselves at the crucial moment. The official matters were handled by Zhang Zhong. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were free, so they took their younger brothers and sisters to wander around. Even a weaved insect made of grass was enough for the four little ones to play with for half a day. Not to mention, they rarely had the chance to play outside in the past. The four little ones had a slightly older brother, who was Zhang Zhong's adopted son. He rarely came out to play and was sick. Perhaps it had something to do with the different soil and water in Lu Zhou's place. It should be caused by the difference in the physique of the people in the north and the south. In a deeper sense, it was genetic. That was to say, the medical standards of the Zhang family and Wang family were slightly better than the people here. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would have died. For example, when the people in the north were sent to Lingnan Road, many of them died on the way. After recuperating for a while, he could occasionally come out for a while, mainly to let him bask in the sun more. The excuse of coming here was to build a spiritual civilization in Shuzhou. What they did was to go on a scenic tour. Hundreds of people did not take cars, but walked up the mountain on foot. At this moment, Zhang Zhong finally showed his ability. Occasionally, he would stop to write a poem, or take out a classic sentence from a book he had read. Although Zhang Zhong became the top scorer through tricks, that was because of the actual situation. However, Zhang Zhong himself was not bad. He also studied hard for many years in a slightly rich family to get to where he was. At this moment, when he spoke, many people around him who wanted to echo him felt it was difficult. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about this kind of thing. The two of them led the people in the inner courtyard to carry the four little guys up the mountain with poles. Every time they encountered something edible, they would pick a little, wash it, and feed it to the four little guys. There was both sour and sweet. It was also a personal experience of life. Especially the bitter mountain vegetables, which were eaten by the common people as vegetables. In Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's time, it was a good thing. Now, as long as people could think of a way, they would not eat wild vegetables. The consequence of eating salted wild vegetables was that the food consumption was very large, and there was no oil and water. When everyone climbed to the top of a mountain, there was a lake in front of them, as far as the eye could see. It was bigger than when Zhang Zhong came a few days ago. There was even a running water leading to the lake. It was unknown how much effort the county magistrate of Taihu County had put in. In addition to the lake, there were also the boats that the county magistrate of Taihu County found. They were not big, and each boat could not hold more than 5 or 6 people. Those with enough status would go on the boat to play, while those who were not could only watch from the shore, find things to do, and chat in groups of 3 or 5. Xiao Bei, the youngest of the 4 little guys, was sick from eating too much sour food. After being fed some green onions and being smoked, his eyes turned red. When he saw others getting on the boat, he pointed at the lake and shouted, "Boat, boat!" over and over again. The boat had already left the shore and been rowed away. Where could he find a boat for her? Besides, that was where the adults did things, so he could not get involved now. Zhang Xiaobao's eyes were fixed on the house in the middle of the mountain. If he really wanted to, he could push the house into the water. As soon as this idea came out, it was rejected by Zhang Xiaobao. It was not suitable to reveal too many things now. He reckoned that the news of this house would spread to Beijing very soon. It seemed that he had to make 2 houses for Beijing according to the little guys. Of course, it was impossible to give them a house made of agarwood. It was not a matter of money, but wood was not easy to find. The glass windows were simple, and he could just buy some cheap carpets. If they wanted fine cashmere carpets, they could buy them themselves. He could give them a few wheels, and let the Ministry of Work study them. It was not a big deal to hand over the mercury dynamic balance. The production cost was too high. He only told them the principle, and did not provide them with the real thing. While Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about this, Wang Wan went to the lake to take a look. The water was very clear, and the temperature was suitable. She gave a look to some of the members of Team Zero, who stayed on the shore. 8 of them changed into swimsuits and jumped in. After swimming up and down in the water for a while, they popped their heads out and nodded to Wang Wan on the shore. Wang Wan then put on swimming trunks for the 4 little guys, and threw a life buoy into the water for them to play with. "Put on your swimsuits," We'll also go down to play. Let's see if someone wants to kill the children of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan when he saw his younger brother and sister paddling happily in the water. This was also an opportunity for others to attack them. At the same time, it was also an opportunity to deal with others. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went into the water, there were two places on the lake that were lively. One was Zhang Zhong's boat, and the other was naturally the small water area where the children of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family played. People who did not know the situation inside would really think that this was a very harmonious scene. Shuzhou was a pier on the side of the Yangtze River. At this time, there were many people moving things from the boat here. They all looked a little happy, but also a little unfamiliar with the environment. Two old men ignored the busy people and walked slowly along the road that led to Shuzhou from the pier. One of the two old men looked at the surrounding scenery and said to the other old man next to him, "Longzhe, this place doesn't look so rich now. The Zhang family hasn't completely freed up their hands. Besides, this place is far from the place where the people live. It's not worth spending money around the pier immediately. When the people live better, they can build the road here. At this time, they are already building it. They have a lot of people, and they don't lack money. It's estimated that by this winter, they will be able to build the main road from the provincial capital to the counties. Then, they will build this place for convenient transportation. You have just come from the capital, so naturally, you will feel that this place is not as good as the capital. But Shuzhou is already good enough. If you have seen Luzhou, you will understand the difference between the two places. When I went to Luzhou, what I saw was not bad. At least, the Zhang family has built the road there. But when you pass by Lianzhou, you will know the situation in Luzhou. This matter can't be rushed. The imperial court doesn't know when the road will be built, and there is no edict to ask Zhangzhong to build the road. The imperial court cares about this year's tax. Since you are here, don't worry about it. Take care of yourself. I have thought it through. As long as I am alive, there is hope." The old man called Longzhe looked much better than the old man who spoke first. The old man who spoke first not only had many age spots on his face, but also many wrinkles and a lot of hair loss. Moreover, he gave people the feeling that his eyes would only be lively at certain special times. Usually they were so cloudy. After hearing Longzhe's words, the old man did not say much about this issue. He sniffed the smell of the soil here and said, "Yes, it is good to be alive. But people can't do more things when they are alive. What's the difference between that and a walking corpse? I have resigned, but my heart can't rest. I have to do something. Fortunately, you came early. Otherwise, I might be buried in the soil. Yuanji, you are wrong to think so. Even if I don't go, I think you will be fine. It is just a small illness. When we meet Xiaobao and Cuckoo, we will ask them to make a special diet for you. Take care of your body and live a few more years. See how the people of Tang live a good life." Old man Longzhe comforted the person he called Yuanji. After he finished speaking, he sighed again. Perhaps it was because he felt that he was too old. He really wanted to live a few more years, especially when he saw with his own eyes how the Zhang family gave good lives to the people everywhere they went. Old Yuanji nodded and said, "Then try your best to live. It is a good opportunity to see the means of the masters of the Zhang family, and see what other things they can do. Tell people to hurry up. I also want to see if the two children you praised to the heavens are so smart. Well, when the time comes, one more person to teach, one more ability. But I don't know how the people of Shuzhou will deal with the Zhang family this time. It is reasonable to say that the rent tax should be higher every year, but now it is lower every year. If Zhangzhong can't raise the rent tax this year, the people in the imperial court will definitely look down on him." Old Longzhe looked at old Yuanji and said with a trace of worry in his eyebrows. Old Yuanji smiled. How could he not know what Longzhe meant? "I just came here, and there are many things I don't understand. It depends on the ability of the Zhang family. Unless there is no other choice, you can just treat me as an idle person. Raising the rent tax to 150,000 strings of coins a year is difficult for other people. But for the Zhang family, no one will think it is too much. After all, he has done so many things." As the two were talking, The people unloading the goods behind them were almost done. A carriage came and waited for the two to get on. The carriage began to speed up in the direction of the provincial capital of Shuzhou. Time flew while they were traveling. When the water was cold, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had not encountered any danger, carried their younger brother and sister to the shore again. The people on the boat began to return, preparing to find a place to sleep in the mountains tonight. Zhang Zhong was really playing. He had not been like this for a long time. Today, he did not care why he was here, but he could play to his heart's content. At night, the county magistrate of Taihu County prepared a sumptuous feast. When he saw a few hundred people eating there, he felt his heart ache. This was all money, and he couldn't just use ordinary dishes to deal with it. He didn't even need to think about it if he didn't have the 1,000 strings of coins for this meal. The military counselor and the others wouldn't pay for this meal. It was a matter of course for a lower official to entertain a higher official. As for where the money came from, the higher official would not ask. Anyway, when there was a problem in checking the account, the higher official would look for the lower official. There was no fairness. After Zhang Zhong and the others and their families had rested, the county magistrate of Taihu County found the registrar and the others. He was anxious. Because of Zhang Zhong, he lost a batch of goods and was delayed for so many days. Every day he lost a lot of money. Even if he did not get a lot of money, the pressure from above was great. Obviously, something happened to the registrar, but in the end, he had to bear the responsibility. He said that he did not choose the right route when he was transporting the goods. There was only one route, and it was to be taken at night. How could he choose? Was he supposed to take the field in the middle of the night? Or climb the mountain? Thinking about it was just thinking about it. He still had to explain the matter clearly. When the county magistrate of Taihu County arrived at the tent where the registrar and the others were, the 7 of them were drinking tea and chatting. They did not seem to be anxious at all. Only the county magistrate of Taihu County was anxious. Seeing the 7 of them drinking poorly, the county magistrate of Taihu County felt his heart ache again. This was tea bought from the Zhang family. Zhang Zhong had not done anything when he came to Shuzhou, but he had brought the Chamber of Commerce here to sell things. This tea was part of the goods. Although it was expensive, not everyone could buy it. It was very rare. When the county magistrate of Taihu County bought this tea to welcome Zhang Zhong, he was really impressed. He thought that he should also have a shopping center at home. If he sold food and drinks, even if they were not delicious, he could go to the villages below to have a look. Then, he would specially mention this food and drink on the way. His subordinates would have to arrange for the food and drink. Even if the price was high, they would have to bear with it. The tea that was bought now was very expensive. They even had to use a silver scale to weigh it. A sip of tea would cost dozens of copper coins. Although this was what he thought in his heart, the county magistrate of Taihu County did not show it on his face. He greeted the 7 of them with a smile and asked about their discomfort with concern. He meant that he wanted to find a few women to serve the 7 of them. When he asked, the county magistrate was a little nervous. He was afraid that the 7 of them would really agree. Then he would have to fork out a lot of money. Now the person he was most grateful to was Zhang Zhong. At least, when Zhang Zhong came, he had already told people in advance that he did not want to be assigned a few prostitutes. If he could save, he would save. Bye. It would not be good if Provincial Governor Zhang heard this. You came at the right time. You have done well this year. Let me ask you, have you thought of a solution? When the registrar saw the county magistrate of Taihu County, he put down the teacup in his hand and asked, solution? What solution do I have? If Zhang Zhong comes every few days, don't even think about mining the mine. The county magistrate of Taihu County was very angry. When he came over just now, he wanted to ask if the 7 of them had a solution. In the end, he was directly asked, what solution could he, a small county magistrate, have? Anyway, he could only earn a little more every year. At most, he would give up and become a county magistrate in another place. When the registrar heard the words of the county magistrate of Taihu County, Wei Wei was stunned. His expression immediately became gentler. He also knew that it was not good to bully people too much. If he really forced the county magistrate of Taihu County into a corner, he would directly write a memorial and send it to the higher-ups. Even if the person behind him was fine, he and the others would also be finished. When he signaled the registrar to sit down, the registrar's expression also changed. It's fine if you can't think of it. I think we will receive news in the next 1 or 2 days. The next place is the Cloud Rock. Has it been arranged? Rest assured, sir. Everything has been arranged. That place is not like the copper mine. There are too many places to excavate. I have already asked people to clean up the traces on the ground. The exposed places are covered with a layer of mud and grass. Also, small trees and grass have been planted. As long as you don't look carefully, you won't find any problems. Seeing that the registrar was pressuring him, the county magistrate of Taihu County suppressed the anger in his heart and told him the arrangement of the other place. The registrar nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. You have done very well. I think that Zhang Zhong will not insist on removing the mud from a certain place. If that's the case, everyone will have a hard time. We will push the responsibility to him and make it difficult for him to do anything in Shuzhou. You are right, sir. Zhang Zhong already knows what is going on, but he doesn't dare to make it clear. He is also afraid of Sir's means. The county magistrate of Taihu County flattered. In his heart, he felt that the registrar was boasting. If he really had the ability, why would he let Zhang Zhong come over and force him to be in such a hurry? He was probably just bragging to people like him. The registrar seemed to have realized that he had said too much. He no longer mentioned this matter and changed the topic. He asked, "Can you find anyone in Zhang Zhong's family who is special?" 2 people. If you find them, even if you don't want the mine here, we will have made a great contribution. Special? Yes, I did see them. There are really 2 people who are very special. They are different from the others. The county magistrate of Taihu County thought for a while and said, "Really? Which 2 people? What do they look like? Are they hiding in the crowd? Hurry up and say it. If you really find them, you won't be the county magistrate anymore." The registrar's eyes lit up and asked anxiously. The other 6 judges also did the same. They all looked at the county magistrate of Taihu County. The county magistrate of Taihu County was shocked. He didn't know what happened to the 7 of them. He immediately said, "Actually, all of you know who those 2 people are. They are the young master and young lady of the Zhang family and Wang family. I found something very important. Everyone has to listen to what they say. Even the stewards of the Zhang family and Wang family don't dare to oppose them. How is that not special?" Sigh. After hearing the county magistrate of Taihu County's answer, the 7 of them sighed at the same time. They were still wondering who those 2 people were. There was no need for others to say anything. Of course, they were special. But what was the use of that? They were trying to find the 2 hidden masters of the Zhang family, not 2 kids. Got it. You did a good job. Although the person is wrong, you did your best. If there's nothing else, go back and rest early. The registrar was very disappointed. However, he couldn't dispel the county magistrate of Taihu County's enthusiasm. He praised them and was about to chase them out. When the county magistrate of Taihu County heard this, he understood that he didn't find the right person. The 7 of them were dissatisfied. He thought for a while and said, "Sir, how about this? I saw that the car in their house is very good. I will get it when they are not paying attention. After thinking about it, I will send it to the imperial court. Why don't you just catch Zhang Zhong as well? You saw the house. Is it something normal? How do you get someone to get it? Steal it. He is such a big guy. Do you think we are blind? Steal it? Then you can go and try. After you succeed, you will be rewarded." The registrar looked at the county magistrate of Taihu County as if he was looking at a fool. The county magistrate of Taihu County just mentioned it. He thought that the 7 of them would help him. Seeing that they didn't have the intention to do so, he could only take back his thoughts. After greeting them, they turned around and prepared to leave. Suddenly, a person came in from outside the tent. After glancing at everyone present, he took out a sealed letter from his bosom and handed it to the registrar of military affairs. The registrar took the letter. When he saw the words on it, his eyes immediately widened. He asked the person who delivered the letter to go outside the tent to read it carefully. After reading from the beginning to the end, he said to the others, "The orders from the higher-ups are that if Zhang Zhong doesn't give up the place, we are to make things difficult for him elsewhere. Let's see if we should do this." Chapter 563. When the crickets stopped chirping, the sky was already bright. When everyone woke up for breakfast, Zhang Zhong looked very energetic. It seemed that he had slept well last night. However, it was different for the 7 people in charge of affairs and the county magistrate of Taihu County. All of them had dark circles under their eyes and were yawning nonstop. It was as if they had not slept at all last night. They couldn't be blamed for this. Last night's letter had given them too much of a shock. If they really followed the letter, they didn't know if there would be even more trouble. Once someone found out, it wouldn't be as simple as beheading. Even their entire clan would be destroyed along with it. They also admitted that if they did that, Zhang Zhong would definitely not have the time to take care of them. Otherwise, let alone the 150,000 yuan tax this year, it was still uncertain whether they would be able to collect it. They might even need the help of the imperial court. With such a choice in mind, how could the 8 of them sleep well? Even if they were to lie down, they wouldn't be able to sleep. The county magistrate of Taihu County fell asleep when the sun was about to rise. However, the things that happened in his dream woke him up again. For the entire night, the 8 of them asked themselves whether they should do it or not. Zhang Zhong didn't know why these 8 people didn't sleep well. He only knew that these 8 people definitely didn't have good intentions. Zhang Zhong watched as the 8 of them ate a little bit of porridge listlessly and didn't eat anything else. Zhang Zhong didn't care about them and slowly ate by himself. Today he still had a place to go, which was more than 2 hours away from here. Zhang Zhong was afraid that he would get hungry while talking to others on the road, so he couldn't eat casually. He had to eat his fill first. When everyone was almost done eating, the group continued their journey and prepared to go to another place with beautiful scenery. Just as they went down the mountain, another group appeared at the foot of the mountain. From the flag, it was obvious who had arrived. It was Tang and Commandery Prince Li Sun. Upon seeing Li Sun, Zhang Zhong was very calm and brought the officials to greet him. Li Sun was a secondary grade 1 official. No one could compare to him. Zhang Zhong did not think much of it because he was familiar with Li Sun. He had never treated Li Sun as an important person and had always treated him as a junior. He only cared about him and did not respect him. However, the others were not like this, especially the military officers. They were really afraid now. They were afraid that Li Sun would find out something and directly impeach them. Then, they would not be able to deal with Li Sun like how they dealt with Zhang Zhong. They did not sleep well last night and were feeling very uncomfortable at this time. Then they met Li Sun again. They were scared and immediately felt that they were in a trance. They could not see both sides of the road clearly. However, Zhang Zhong talked to them from time to time, so they had to force themselves to deal with it. This was the end. Their minds were not enough. They were also worried about Li Sun who suddenly appeared. They kept looking at Li Sun to see what he wanted. Li Sun did not have time to care about them. He directly ran to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Seeing the 2 of them accompanying the 4 little fellows, he also helped to cut fruits and feed the 4 greedy little fellows. As a commandery prince, Li Sun did not feel that he was inferior at all to personally serve others. The 4 little fellows of the Zhang family could not be fed by just anyone. After he came over, he just washed his hands and took the fruits himself. The Zhang family did not check at all. This showed his status. After all, they were a family. What made Li Sun even more proud was that the 4 little fellows could not be fed by just anyone, even if it was someone from the inner courtyard. However, when he fed them, the little fellows always smiled at him. This made him even happier than when he suddenly received 10,000 strings of coins. After the 4 little fellows were stuffed to the point that they covered their stomachs and did not eat anymore, Li Sun asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Why did you call me here in such a hurry? I'm busy with the road. I'm going to finish the road before this year's winter." There must be roads that lead to the various counties and docks. Also, I planted the fruit trees on the side of the road. There is a ditch between two trees. When they grow up and passers-by are thirsty, they can use stones to knock down a few fruits to eat. There are 4 kinds of fruits. Except for the winter, there are all kinds of fruits in spring, summer, and autumn. What kind of fruits are there in spring? Zhang Xiaobao thought that Li Sun had made an out-of-season fruit. Yes, there are flowers. It's the flowers of the locust tree. If there is no other way, I'll ask someone to look for them. There must be some. When the trees grow up, my fief will be better than others. Tell me, why did you call me here? I'm busy. It costs tens of thousands of yuan for a quarter of an hour. Li Sun used the words he learned from Zhang Xiaobao. Wang Wan laughed. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao was right. He did cost hundreds of thousands of yuan per minute, but Li Sun did not believe it. After listening to Li Sun's plan, Zhang Xiaobao did not want to discourage him. Anyway, when the time comes, we will know whether it will succeed or not. It's just a matter of spending a little more money. Looking around, other than the 4 little guys who were eating fruits and sleeping, no one else could hear them. Do you want to be rich? The kind with a lot of money? I have a way to make you rich, and you don't have to worry about others making trouble for you. No, I'm thinking about how to spend money now. How can I be in the mood to make money? My money is enough for me to build my fief. After the fief is built, I can get more money. I don't have to worry. I can't lose the big picture for small gains. I'm not afraid of others making trouble for me. I won't rebel. Who dares to make trouble for me? Who dares? There are many ways to die. Why do you want to find me? Li Sun refused. From the meaning of his words, it showed that he was now focused on building his fief. He did not consider other sources when he was not short of funds. You really don't want to? Make a fortune in your fief. There are 2 mines, one is a copper mine, and the other is a marble mine. They have been secretly mined for several years. Did you see the mountain we just came down from? There is a copper mine on it. However, in the official book, there is only an entry of our income. Do you understand what I mean? And that cloud stone, the real cloud stone. It's as white as the clouds, and it seems to be transparent. I use it to pave the floor at home. It stopped a thief once. If we don't think of a way, the 2 mines will be stolen away. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the mountain they just came down from, and then pointed to the clouds floating in the sky. Li Sun was stunned by Zhang Xiaobao's words. After a while he suddenly shouted, "What? Really? Retreat. What are you doing here?" After shouting at the guards who rushed to protect him to retreat, Li Sun's face was ashen. He lowered his voice and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, you're not lying to me, right? Who has the guts to secretly mine the copper and marble mines in my fief for several years? I think they don't want to live anymore. If I find out who it is, I will make them spit out all the money they have accumulated in the past few years." Really? When have I ever lied to you? But what happened a few years ago has nothing to do with you. At that time, it was not your fief. After we came here, they probably could only transport it out 3 or 4 times. My father happened to meet them once. They ran away and did not catch up. The goods were left behind. Most of the marble was given to Xiaobei and the others to play with. The copper mine is still there. You can arrange for people to take it away. There was a copper mine on the mountain just now. The place we are going to now is the marble mine. Zhang Xiaobao finally found a solution to the problem. Although the 2 mines were good, the target was too big. After all, they were places where they could earn money by mining. It was not suitable for his own family to occupy them. It was better to give them to Li Sun and let Li Sun occupy them. No one could say anything. Li Sun felt that it was right. The previous mine had nothing to do with him, but he still felt uncomfortable. He thought that if others did not secretly mine and left it to him, how much more money could he earn? He did not lack money. The problem was that it was his own money. He could not let others take it for free. He finally understood why Zhang Xiaobao asked him to come. You don't have to give me what your family left behind. Xiaobei and the others like to play on the marble? Wait until I take back the mine, then I will give you more marble. How about this? Let's work together to mine, just like how your family brought me along when you did business. Now that I have something good, I want to give you a share. Xiaobao, do you know who secretly dug it? Tell me, and I will take care of them immediately. Beheading is a light punishment. Charge them with the crime of privately minting coins. Exterminate their entire family. Li Sun did not care about giving the marble to Xiaobei and the others to play with. The four of them were so cute. It did not matter how many marble there were. He just wanted to find the culprit and take action. Zhang Xiaobao saw Li Sun's reaction and knew that he had guessed correctly. But there was no evidence now. It was easy to kill, but difficult to convince the public. If he wanted to deal with someone, he had to find an excuse. Young Master Li, don't be anxious. We know who the culprit is. It is the officials here. Anyone who can come into contact with them is a suspect. Wait until we find evidence. Take a look at the place first and remember it. It is good to have a target. Yes. We can't take action directly. There is no evidence, and it is not an emergency period. It is fine. They have to dig, right? As long as they dig, we can catch them. Let's see who is more daring. Li Sun was no longer the little prince who only knew how to bully others. Since he had a fief, he had to do things according to the rules. He agreed to Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and asked, then what if the person we find is from the imperial clan? If it's a member of the imperial family, then I'll just treat it as a gift. However, the people below must be dealt with. I can't let Imperial Uncle kill all my cousins, right? That's impossible. Li Sun did not hide his thoughts at all. The leader was fine, but the people below were unlucky. It was their fault for not doing a good job. Now that they were caught, they had to bear such a punishment. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wang could understand Li Sun. Not to mention now, when was it not the same? When something happened, the small fish were caught. The medium fish would be moved to another place, and the big fish would be fine. Just know who you suspect. Don't show it. Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun. Understood. I won't talk to them too much. Who am I? I am the Duke. What are they? The little guys can eat again. Fruit is digested quickly. As Li Sun spoke, he saw the four little guys being carried to pee and prepared to be fed fruit. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and ran away. Due to the slow pace of the group, it took them nearly 6 hours to arrive at their destination. None of them had eaten lunch. Some of them had eaten too much in the morning, while others couldn't eat because they had too many things on their minds. From afar, they could see that the mountain in front of them was lush green. Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, who was looking around for oars, do you see the trees over there? And the grass, in fact, it was all stuck there later. If you look closely, you will find that the trees and grass are not growing right. They shouldn't be so long. I don't know who is so stupid that they can't even see the yin and yang sides. The trees are actually denser in the shade than in the sunny areas. And the grass on the steep areas, whose grass can grow perpendicular to the slope under such circumstances. Where is this place? Taihu County. Why did my father come here? To promote the construction of spiritual civilization in Shuzhou. Who do you think has something to do with it? Just now on the mountain, the place where the mine should be is actually a lake. I originally thought that only the Zhang family and Wang family had such ability. A man-made lake. The county magistrate of Taihu County is also very capable. Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao's words and understood what he meant. He looked at the trees and flowers on the mountain, and it was indeed so. When he agreed with Zhang Xiaobao that he was stupid, he said angrily, there is no good official. There are layers upon layers of protection. It is not a single official that is caught, but a series of problems. Why do you think this is? There are historical reasons for this. And at the same time, it is also a problem of the management mechanism. It is not easy to explain in a few words. Even if it is clear, it is not easy to solve. It is very difficult. Zhang Xiaobao knew that this was a problem related to the whole human society. Even if they raised a high salary, it was useless. Were there really no corrupt officials in Singapore? That was under the condition that the place was small and easy to govern. If it were such a big country, who could put an end to it? As long as this society is governed by people, then don't expect all the officials to be honest. You have to know that the reason why society can develop is because of people's desires. Without desires, human beings will not exist. As long as they exist, there will be such situations. Zhang Xiaobao said the most fundamental reason. Li Sun could understand a special word Zhang Xiaobao said. This was what he had learned for many years. He knew that Zhang Xiaobao was right, but he still felt uncomfortable and asked, then why is Sanshui County different? Any random official will not show any corruption, bribery, or abuse of power for personal gain. It is not that they do not have desires, but that they understand that as long as nothing happens, they will be promoted. When they leave office, they will get a large sum of money, more than what they are greedy for. There is no risk at all. The income and risk are proportional. 10,000 strings of cash is likely to cost them their lives, but 5,000 strings of cash is easy to get. Of course, they will choose 5,000 strings of cash. Didn't you say that if there is a 300% profit, someone will take all the risks to get it? Li Sun argued. That is referring to the situation where the supervision mechanism is not working. Does Sanshui County have that kind of opportunity? Most importantly, there is a more powerful threat in Sanshui County, and that is the Zhang family. Especially with my father's official position, even if they take the tens of thousands of strings of cash, they just collect it and run away, it will be useless. They understand the determination of the Zhang family. Even if they run out of the country, they will be hunted down. The opportunity is too small, and the risk is too great. That is why they are so honest. Besides, they are usually treated well, so why do they have to take the risk? Zhang Xiaobao knew the reason. The most important thing was that the Zhang family had the ability to make money, so there was no need to be greedy. If the Zhang family did not have the ability, they would not be able to handle the following matters. Then what should we do? Is there no solution? Li Sun was even more depressed. He knew that there was no second Zhang family. They could not control the place at all. They were rich and capable, but they did not have the ambition to rebel. Where could he find another Zhang family? It's not that there's no way. There's one way, and that's to find a very powerful emperor who can see through everyone's heart. Moreover, he can see through everyone's heart in just a few breaths. Moreover, even if everyone in the world works together, they can't beat him alone. He can also make the land increase in production and make the flood disappear. That way, there will be no more corrupt officials. Zhang Xiaobao gave an answer. You are not talking about an emperor, but an immortal. Li Sun was even more depressed. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said, it is impossible to make all the people and officials be selfless, but we can find a way to make the officials make fewer mistakes. Originally, 50 out of 100 officials are bad, so don't expect that there will be none. It will be a success if we can reduce it to 10. Then how can we reduce it? Li Sun agreed. If they could not be eliminated, they could reduce it. When the military of the dictatorship is loyal and strong enough, they can monitor the officials without relying on manpower. Now there is no need to think about it. It is useless. They are calling you. Go and praise them. Zhang Xiaobao also had such a dream, but it could not be realized. When he saw the people over there looking back at them while they were talking, he gave Li Sun a push. Li Sun was not willing to deal with such officials, but he had no other choice. He could only go over and join in the praise of the local officials. Even though he knew that there was a marble mine behind the very unnatural trees, he still had to praise the strange trees and the beautiful scenery. Not bad, it is really a good place. Lord Zhang will definitely build a place like this into a place for the people to enjoy, especially those trees. In other places, the trees are dense on the sunny side, but here, they are dense on the shady side. It is really different. They are strange, and the scenery is beautiful. Li Sun was depressed in his heart. He pointed at a tree and said, the county magistrate of Taihu County was so scared that he trembled, and sweat dripped down his forehead. And those vines. In other places, they are coiled, slanted, or straight up, but here they are growing horizontally. Moreover, they are not fixed by anything. It is beautiful. When I write a memorial to report to the emperor, it will be an auspicious sign. I have decided to send people to guard this place day and night, until the imperial court sends people to investigate. Li Sun was not done with his anger. so he continued to scare. This time, not only was the county magistrate of Taihu County trembling, but even the military officers were also scared. The important thing was that if they really wrote a memorial and asked the imperial court to come and guard the place day and night, they would definitely know that it was fake and understand what was going on behind the mine. The first one to be arrested was the county magistrate of Taihu County. As long as he confessed, they would not be able to escape. If they really wanted to hide, they would have to kill the county magistrate and everyone related to him. Killing them would also be considered a crime of not investigating. At the same time, they were thinking about what to do. At this time, Zhang Zhong spoke. "Your Highness, this is not appropriate." "Oh, what's wrong? Could it be that these vines are not so simple? Man, go and take a look. We have to figure it out even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground." Li Sun often spent time with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Not only did he learn knowledge, but he also learned a lot of evil tricks. "No, Your Highness, you can't." 3 of the military officers tried to stop him in unison. The others also wanted to say something, but they did not know what to say. Zhang Zhong also tried to dissuade him. "Your Highness, I don't mean this. It's not appropriate now. When the news reaches the capital, and people from the capital come here, the vines on the mountain will probably be dying, or have already died. If they can't see it, wouldn't it be lying to the emperor? Is that so? There's such a thing. Aya, this is my first time here, so I don't know. What do you think?" Li Sun looked at the officials around him who were so scared that their faces changed. He was in a good mood. Yes, Provincial Governor Zhang is right. That's right. If Your Highness really wants to report an auspicious sign, why don't you report it first thing next year?" The military officer was about to sit on the ground and said with a dull look in his eyes. "In that case, forget it. I want to climb the mountain and see who wants to climb with me. I can use the vines to climb up. Don't underestimate me. I'm very powerful." Li Sun continued with his suggestion. When he said that it was fine, all the officials heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he said the second half of his suggestion, all of them became angry again. There were even 2 cowardly officials who sat on the ground. Seeing Li Sun look over, one of them was smart and quickly explained, "Your Highness is really powerful. When I heard that we were going to climb, I was scared. I can't. What if I fall down halfway?" The other one immediately followed suit, and the matter was finally resolved. Zhang Zhong knew that Li Sun did it deliberately, so he said, "Your Highness, there is something more interesting than climbing the mountain. Not far from here, there is a lake called Lake Tai. I heard that the fish and shrimp in the lake are good. Why don't we go fishing there?" "Oh, is that so? Then let's take a look here and go to Lake Tai." Li Sun finally didn't continue to scare people. After he finished speaking, he turned around and looked for Zhang Xiaobao. When the people who could barely stand saw that Li Sun had left, they didn't care whether Zhang Zhong was next to them. A few of them sat on the ground. Zhang Zhong began to put on an act and asked people to write poems here. He also took other people's works and gave them some pointers. Amidst everyone's flattery, he left this place and went to Lake Tai. It could be said that this spiritual construction guidance work had ended. Chapter 564. Li Sun was preparing to snatch the mine. He had absolute confidence that no one else would be able to snatch it from him. In his own fief, other than the emperor and his 2 fathers, no one else could. And the emperor and his 2 fathers did not need to snatch it from him. If there was a need, they could just call him. He was now thinking about how to develop the mine. It was easy to mine but difficult to sell. Some people did not even know about it. Zhang Xiaobao was familiar with this. He pondered for a moment and said, "You can only own the Cloudstone mine, but you can't monopolize the copper mine. The imperial court is short of copper now. Once you mine the copper, you can sell it directly to your uncle the emperor. He will only charge you a mining fee and environmental damage fee. It's a small amount of money, but you have to take it. However, you can't make money from it. Just think of it as organizing people to work for your uncle for free. You're not afraid of being greedy, but you don't know what you should be greedy and what you shouldn't be greedy. This copper mine is a basic natural resource that society needs. It can't be reproduced. It's a livelihood for people. Not to mention your status. Even the Zhang family and the Wang family can't take this money. Cloudstones are another thing. There's no need to worry about it. It's like sugar and salt. No matter how high the price of sugar is, no one will say anything, especially the imperial court. However, if you want to monopolize salt and raise the price, you can only wait for death. Cloudstones are a luxury. Even if you don't have them, you won't die. It's enough for you to use them to make money. Mine them first, then transport them to the capital. Build a beautiful house for your uncle with them. It's best if it's done before winter. I'll provide the furniture and heating inside. I'll also give you a beautiful big fish tank and some ornamental fish that are equally rare in Luzhou's place. Let your uncle use them during the winter. When spring comes tomorrow, your marble will be worth a lot of money. You should thank me. Li Sun nodded. He could not help but admire this idea. However, after thinking about it, he said, Cloudstones are worth a lot of money, but aren't your glass fish tank and ornamental fish worth more? Also, what's the heating device? Is it a Kong? Can a Kong work? Heating? You'll know in the future. It's very convenient. There's coal in Huayuan County. I'll give you a few thermometers as well. You can give them to your uncle. Try to keep the temperature in the room at 23 to 27 degrees Celsius. Zhang Xiaobao finally understood why the master was not willing to teach his disciple. Once the disciple was smart, it would not be easy to fool him. Li Sun did not fully understand, but he agreed. Since Zhang Xiaobao said so, then his family must have a way. He would just do as he said. When Li Sun turned around, he saw the house again. He thought about how the wheels were not afraid of bumps, and how the house could move back and forth. He had a lot of thoughts. Xiao Bei's house. You want to steal my younger sibling's house? No, absolutely not. My family is going to offer the method to the higher-ups. You won't get a share. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao heard Li Sun's question, he understood. He quickly explained his thoughts, not letting Li Sun take advantage of the situation. I'm not robbing you. I'm just asking if you can make one. I want one too. Li Sun was indeed going to take the technology and make a few more for his family. Or if someone had a child at home, it would be too tacky for others to give gold and silver. He would give a house. If you want to make it into a car, wheels are fine, but a house is not. That thing is too big. Unless you want to make the car as big as the house. Let's go boating. Zhang Xiaobao agreed to a portion of it and followed the group to Lake Tai. As Li Sun followed, he said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, do you have any new things in your family? Let me see them. I might be able to use them. You must tell me if you have any. Don't worry. I'll tell you everything as long as it can be mass-produced. I'll give you a share when I do business. Zhang Xiaobao made the horse run faster to get rid of Li Sun. When the team arrived at Lake Tai, it was already evening. Li Sun circled the lake and caught a few fish. Unfortunately, crabs were not available in this season, so he could only eat fish and prawns. Everyone ate a big meal. Zhang Zhong was in a good mood as he learned a lot of things. Li Sun was also happy. There were 2 mines. Even if he could only take one in the end, it would be good. The military registrar and the others were also relaxed. The matter was settled. Li Sun drank some wine and was a little confused. When it was dark, he wanted to find Zhang Xiaobao to discuss ways to make money. He did not care about others and stood up to find Zhang Xiaobao. However, before he reached the place, he realized something was wrong. Why was it so bright? How many candles must be lit? It's so bright. It's still near the house. Xiaobao wants to kill the younger siblings. This won't do. I have to go and take a look. Li Sun did not feel anything when he was sitting and drinking. Now that he stood up, the alcohol rushed to his head. In a daze he saw a house. It was bright. At this time, he was in a state where he was intoxicated but not drunk. He knew that too many candles were not good for the younger siblings. When he got closer and was sobered up by the cold wind, he finally realized that things were not as he thought. He saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang guarding the front of the house. They were playing with the younger siblings and looking at the candles in the house. That's strange. When did such candles appear? When he got closer, Li Sun finally realized that it was not a candle. It was something bright inside a glass. It was a new thing that could replace candles. Xiaobao, what did you say during the day? You're hiding the good stuff, aren't you? Why is it so bright? Give me 100 of them. I'll hang them at home. Li Sun rubbed his face with his hands and poured some water on his face from the basin for the younger children's handkerchiefs. When he woke up, he stood in front of Zhang Xiaobao and questioned him. He knew that he should not scare the child. It can't be mass-produced yet. Last night, 2 were broken. It's not even enough for 24 hours. It's useless even if I give it to you. It's an experiment now. This is the house. The experiment at home is also at the same time. That place is different from here. Let's see how long it can last. When it's done, we will definitely not leave you out. Especially this generator. Look, it's something that the people over there use. We can sell it cheaper. It's 1,000 strings of coins. It's not expensive. Zhang Xiaobao was not lying. The lifespan of light bulbs was too short. It could not be used at all. It was not like when he and Wang Wan were together. Glass was cheap. Here it was a luxury. The light bulbs were going to be sold for 50 strings of coins. After people bought them, they would use them for a few hours. If they broke, it would be over. He had to find a way to make it last longer. Compared to candles, at least the lifespan of the light bulbs could be exchanged for the price of candles at the same time. The reason why the generator was so cheap was that the light bulb technology was in his hands. If the conditions were met, Zhang Xiaobao could even give away the generator for free. For example, he could buy 100 light bulbs at a time. While Zhang Xiaobao was talking, the light bulb on the second floor of the house went out. The 4 little guys found that the light was not right. They turned to look at their own house together and saw that the light on the second floor was out. They were anxious. They pulled Wang Wan there and called her sister. Their little hands pointed to the second floor. Zhang Xiaobao quickly changed the light bulbs. Li Sun also believed Zhang Xiaobao's words and said, "It's really easy to break. Then we have to study it quickly. It's a good thing. It's bright, really bright. The fire is wrapped in the glass. There's no need to add oil. And there's no need to be afraid of wind. If the whole house is lit, there won't be any difference between night and day." Zhang Xiaobao changed the light bulbs. The second floor was bright again. The 4 little guys smiled happily and turned to continue playing. Li Sun could see that the little guys could not go in, but they definitely would not allow their house to be dark. He squatted down and pulled one of the little guys over. He kissed him hard on the face and said, "You guys enjoy yourselves. The good things are all given to you first. There's no such treatment in the palace." After staying in Lake Tai for a night, they rushed back after dawn. Seeing that they had all left, the county magistrate of Taihu County sat on the shaft of the carriage and looked at the sky. He sighed and said to himself, "Gone, they're all gone. It's finally quiet. Mines, money, and floating clouds, they're all floating clouds. Master, there's still Qingfeng." A person who was an advisor came over and said. The county magistrate put his hand on the advisor's face and pushed him. "Go away. What Qingfeng? They're all gone." No one in Zhang Xiaobao's entourage cared about the thoughts of a county magistrate, nor did they have the leisure to experience the county magistrate's philosophical thoughts. They continued on their journey at a leisurely pace. After walking for 3 days, they still did not return to the manor. They did not go back. But some people had already arrived. They were the people who came down from the dock. On the 4th night after leaving the dock, many carriages came to the yamen of Shuzhou Prefecture. Of course, the guards did not dare to stop them and directly let them in. Old man Yuanji's family was also temporarily arranged to stay in the prefecture. However, there was no one in the prefecture, not even a caretaker. The only people who could breathe were the yamen runners outside. After asking around, they found out that everyone had gone elsewhere. The old man who accompanied old man Yuanji said, "Don't worry about them. Just don't go to their main house. We can look around and see if they have made anything new. I found that every few days, they make something new." At this time, a yamen runner who was guarding the gate came over and said to the old man who just spoke, "Master Bai, I don't know what's going on these days. As soon as it gets dark, one of the courtyards in the governor's house will light up. Sometimes it will light up for a long time. Sometimes it will light up for a while, and then stop. Is it haunted? Master, why don't you and this master take a rest outside? Otherwise, if something happens, it will be hard for me to explain. Oh, is there such a thing? Okay, what haunted? Can his house be haunted? Yuanji, come with me. Arrange for your family to stay here. Send as many servants to my house as possible. The Zhang family has things that not everyone can see. When Old Man Pai heard that it was haunted, he did not believe it at all. Which ghost was tired of living, and came to the Zhang family and Wang family to make trouble. He said something to Old Man Yuanji, and led the way to the courtyard that the Yamen runner just mentioned. It was just the two of them. The others were not going to follow, not even the guards. When the two old men came to the courtyard, they saw that it was lit up in different places. Old Man Pai looked carefully at the ground and said in surprise, "This is the courtyard where the four youngest children of the Zhang family and Wang family play. There should be a house in front. It seems that it has been put on wheels and taken away. And the ground." Longzhe, wait, what did you just say? The house has been put on wheels and taken away. What house can be taken away? If Old Man Yuanji did not know what kind of person Bai Go was, he would really think that he was possessed by a ghost. It was the first time he heard that a house was put on wheels and taken away. Yuanji does not believe it. It is the house of the four little kids. It is so high and has 3 floors. Only one house costs a lot of money. What is the point of putting on wheels and taking away? That house can be used as a boat in the water. Even if it is pressed into the water, the children inside can hold on for a long time. And the ground, it was not marble in the past. I don't know where they found so many marble stones. I think it can only be seen in this courtyard. It is beautiful, especially when it is illuminated by the light. Good. It is a pity that the people are not here. Otherwise, I must ask carefully. Old Man Pai explained to Old Man Yuanji. He could understand the other party's thoughts. If he did not see it with his own eyes, no one would believe it. Sure enough, Old Man Yuanji did not believe it. He said on the side, "Is there no marble stones in Zhangzhong's main hall?" That depends on whether there is anything left after the courtyard is paved. If there is, and it is enough to pave the main hall, then there will be some in the main hall. Otherwise, there won't be any. Their family gave the best things to the 4 children. Let's go and see what that shiny thing is. Old Man Pai explained again. He stepped on the marble ground and felt that the feeling under his feet was really different. When the 2 people approached the shiny thing, they found that there were a total of 20 such things, and 6 of them were broken. What is this? A candle? An oil lamp? They have been gone for several days. There should not be anyone coming in to add oil. It is even more impossible for a candle to burn for such a long time. It is strange. Old Man Pai looked at the light bulbs. When he turned his head to talk to Old Man Yuanji, he suddenly found that the surroundings were so dark. When he turned his head to look at the light bulbs again, his eyes were shaking uncomfortably. Fortunately, for the 2 of them, the light bulbs were not hung up high. Old Man Yuanji had just reached the place and had to be polite, so he did not touch them. Old Man Pai did not care about being polite or not. If he was polite to the Zhang family, then he would never be able to get anything good. Let me pick one and see what it is, Old Man Pai said as he reached out to pick one of the light bulbs. He thought that it was a gourd. As soon as his hand touched the light bulbs, he retracted his hand. Hot. How did this happen? My hand is so hot. Look, where does it connect to? Old Man Pai blew twice on his scalded fingers. As he spoke, he followed the line that connected the light bulbs to other places. His feet also followed the light bulbs. As they walked, the 2 of them arrived in front of a few large windmills that were rotating at the side. Under the windmills, the 2 of them saw something that could not be seen clearly turning. When the windmills turned, this thing turned. When the windmills stopped, this thing also stopped. After looking for a while, Old Man Yuanji finally found the connection and said, "When the windmills stop, it is dark. When the windmills turn, it is bright. Does this have something to do with the windmills?" Yes, that is it. Yuanji, you don't know. Look here. Obviously, you can use your feet to pedal, but now you are riding on the windmills. The Zhang family is lazy. If they can use wind and water, they will definitely not use animals. If they can use animals, they will definitely not use people. I know how to do this. Watch me. Stop this place that connects to the windmills, and then take it down. Okay, that side is out, right? Next, I will go up and pedal. Old Man Pi picked up a connecting shaft. This way, the generator could not rely on the rotation of the windmills to provide power. Old Man Pi went up to the generator, put his foot on the pedal, grabbed the handle, and began to pedal. When he pedaled, that place lit up again. When he stopped, it was dark. This time, without needing to say anything, Old Man Yuanji understood what was going on. It turned out that it was really related to the windmills, but he could not figure out the reason behind it. Old Man Pi was the same. He put back the connecting shaft of the windmills. After the lights were back on, he sat there and rested his chin on his hand. Why? The windmills turn and light up, and the windmills stop. Could it be that a windmill with this thing can replace candles? The more he thought about it, the more surprised Old Man Pi was. If it was true, then as long as the wind was blowing steadily, and there was water next to it, candles and oil lamps would no longer be needed. Moreover, this thing with something inside the glass was much brighter than candles. If it was placed in a hall, just one would be brighter than more than 10 candles. How much money would be saved? How much oil would be saved? If this oil was given to people to eat, how many families would benefit? Besides, this thing was not afraid of wind, and did not have oil fumes. Apart from the discomfort of looking at it directly, it was much better than candles and oil lamps. What Old Man Pi could think of, Old Man Yuanji could also think of. He also knew that this thing that could light up was a layer of glass. Longzhe, the Tang Empire is lucky to have this thing. We should write a report immediately. I will go back now. Old Man Yuanji looked very calm just now, but after thinking of the application of this thing, he became excited, and was about to go back. Yuanji, you can't. Everything will have to wait until the Zhang family comes back. If you write a report now and send it to them, then this thing will be the last thing the Zhang family has. Don't expect other things to come out in the future. You should know that the Zhang family makes a good thing every few days. When Old Man Pi saw that Old Man Yuanji was going to write a report, he quickly stopped him. If he really wrote it and sent it to them, then it would be terrible. After interacting with the Zhang family so much, he knew what kind of people the Zhang family was. If they negotiated with him, then sometimes it would be an exchange of interests, sometimes it would be an exchange of power, and sometimes it would not be an exchange of anything. As long as they talked nicely, and it did not have a big impact on the income of the Zhang family and Wang family, then the technology would be handed over. For example, if it was really related to the fate of the country and the people's livelihood, then the first thing to do was to send it to them. If such people were angered because of Yuanji's excitement, then they should not expect their family to produce anything in the future. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs would not work. After Old Man Pi stopped Old Man Yuanji and told him this, Old Man Yuanji also stopped. He also understood that this was indeed the case. If he were in Old Man Pai's shoes, he would also be angry. What did it mean that all under the sky was the land of the king, and all on the shore of the land were the king's subjects? That was a lie. The land of the king was conquered. For example, the big island that the Zhang family found was the land of the Tang Empire. In fact, it had nothing to do with the Tang Empire at all. They did not send troops to occupy it. They just wanted the gold mine, copper mine, and grain there. I understand. The Zhang family and Wang family are not lacking in righteousness, but we can't use righteousness to suppress them. This thing will definitely be used to make money. Ordinary people will not use it. Old Man Yuanji sighed and did not leave. He stood beside the lamp and watched it shine. Ordinary people have no use for candles. Oil lamps are only lit when there are special circumstances. How can they afford it? Let alone this. How much did the thing just now cost? Can the common people afford it? It's only used by the rich. Besides, there's nothing wrong with the Zhang family making money. You'll know when they come back. It's not bad to eat, but they will never throw away a table full of food that they can't finish. They wear good clothes, but they will never stop wearing them after wearing them once. Apart from the four little ones who did not care about money, their family rarely wasted money. In other words, most of the money they earned was not used on themselves. Look at Sanshui County, Huayuan County, Yaozhou Luzhou, and now the people of Shuzhou. Most of the time, the Zhang and Wang families had to fork out their own money to pay for the roads and water conservancy projects. They rarely reported anything to the authorities. Moreover, no one reported anything to them. Whenever a disaster struck a place, they would secretly transport things to that place. When they arrived at that place, they would use the imperial court's name to give it to the victims. They also paid for the things the imperial court built. Other rich families flaunt their wealth, but you can't see the Zhang family and Wang family at all. This is the true definition of a rich family. The sea does not show off its depth, but it surges. The mountain does not show off its height, but it is majestic. The Zhang family and Wang family are like this. If they earn money, so be it. Old Man Pai summed up the Zhang family and Wang family. It was true. The two families were never like other people who used the name of giving porridge outside a certain city. If the Zhang family and Wang family really wanted to help the common people in a certain place, they would definitely open a business there. Then they would use the business as an excuse to build roads and water conservancy projects and so on. This required manpower. Other people were giving alms on the surface, but the Zhang family and Wang family were helping the common people find things to do. They were not on the same level at all. Old man Yuanji used to think that he knew the Zhang family and Wang family well. On the way, he also heard some things about the Zhang family and Wang family from Old Man Pai. The main thing was that there were too many things to do, so he did not talk about it. Chapter 565. The green grass was boundless, and the rice in the fields had grown. Whose carriage and horses were making a ruckus. Living in fear all day long, the heart of the mortal world is not cold. Why worry about the lack of sunlight? I'll give you lollipops. After discovering something that could replace candles, Old Man Pai and Old Man Yuanji didn't sleep that night. They took the 4 mats that they used to drag the children back and forth, sat on the marble floor and guarded. Old Man Yuanji asked questions from time to time, and let Old Man Pai answer them. In addition to talking about the Zhang family and the Wang family, Old Man Pai also pondered about the problem of the glowing object. Having learned the book of nature, he wanted to use the knowledge in the book to interpret what he saw. However, he found that the book, which seemed very profound at first, was too simple when compared to the object in front of him. There must be a deeper level of books. The book of nature is like a clear stream. Then there must be a small river, a big river, and a big sea. Yes, that's right. It turns out that this road is so long. Old Man Pai thought about this matter, but he didn't know whether the glowing object in front of him was a big river or a big sea. If Wang Wan was here, she would tell him that this was only a small part of a small river. The book of nature could not even be considered a small stream. It would be more appropriate to call it the mouth of a spring. The depth of the sea of technology depended on the vastness of the starry sky. The more one knew, the shallower they found themselves. Old Man Yuanji had never learned the book of nature. He couldn't understand anything that was invented by the Zhang family. Hearing Old Man Pai muttering, he asked curiously, "Long Zai, what are you talking about? Do you know what's going on?" "I don't know. I only know that the lightning in the sky is bright, because 2 different kinds of clouds collide. It has nothing to do with immortals. The thing hanging there will light up. Is it because 2 different kinds of things collide? For example, the flint we use." Old Man Pai tried his best to use his knowledge to explain this phenomenon. He seemed to have found a connection, but he couldn't accurately explain it. The flint would light up continuously when it was struck, but that kind of light would have intermittent intervals. The thing above his head didn't stop shining. Old Man Yuanji was even more confused. How did this have anything to do with flint again? If he couldn't figure it out, he said to Old Man Pai, "Don't think about it. Let's talk about the 3 types of seeds. Can it be used throughout the Great Tang? It should be possible. The Zhang family is testing it as well. They've succeeded in planting rice in Sanshui County, and they've succeeded in planting rice in Huayuan County. Since there's no Zhang family in Yao province to guide them personally, they've succeeded in planting rice in other places. Luzhou has succeeded. If this place succeeds as well, it can only mean one thing. Different methods need to be adopted in different places. The reason for this is that what can help other things grow is not necessarily a pig, a duck, and so on. Old Man Pai summarized the seeds. Old Man Yuanji also understood and said, I understand. It's local conditions. For example, the Zhang family in Sanshui County first raised an earth dragon in Zhuangzi. In addition to feeding the chickens, it can also be used in places where the soil is not good. After drilling, the hard ground will become soft. We should ask the agriculture temple to send people to guard it. That's fine, but we can't order the Zhang family around. It's dawn. Eat some porridge and go to sleep. Old Man Pai yawned and found that the sun had come out. Time passed so quickly. A night had passed just like that. The two of them stood up. Old Man Bai rubbed his sore legs, but he was fine after moving around a bit. Old Man Yuanji, on the other hand, couldn't even stand up. This was thanks to the 4 cushions. There was a layer between them that blocked out the cold air. Otherwise, he might have to be carried away, because of the marble floor. When Old Man Pai supported Old Man Yuanji, who was moving little by little, back to his courtyard, the dining tables had already been set up. Someone was holding a pen and paper in his hand, and asking them one by one, what do you eat? There are steamed buns about this big. There are mutton stuffing, pork stuffing, leek and egg stuffing, and pies with the same stuffing. There are also steamed buns and fruits, oil cakes, rice porridge, millet porridge, 2 kinds of rice mixed together, soy milk and tofu pudding, sweet and salty. Little kid, who drinks milk and egg cake. His ears were full of such inquiries. Old Man Yuanji turned to look at Old Man Pai in puzzlement. What was going on? When he was on the ship, he didn't eat so many things. There were only 3 kinds. 2 kinds of rice porridge, soy milk and tofu pudding, and the salty one. Before Old Man Pai could answer, he continued to ask if he ate wontons, soaked buns, mutton soup, pancakes, and so on. These were the habits of people who could eat breakfast everywhere. There were also the eating methods that the Zhang family later invented. In total, there were more than 30 things and hundreds of combinations. This, Old Man Pai understood what he meant. Why couldn't he eat when he was on the ship? This is not the breakfast that my chef made. This is the treatment provided by the Zhang family and the Wang family's Sea and Clouds restaurant. With the Henan Road as the boundary, that is between the clouds and the water, and this is Sea and Clouds restaurant. In the future, they will compete with each other. Just know that. What do you want to eat? I want a big bowl of steamed egg cake and a drawer of shumai. I'm the same as you. How can I be asked? So troublesome. After hearing so many things, Old Man Yuanji was confused. He didn't know how to choose, so he could only order the same as Old Man Pai. If I don't ask one by one, how can I serve? The amount of food for each meal is the amount that others say, and then add it up a little. Otherwise, it will be a waste. I didn't spend money. Old Man Bai called a clerk over and told them what to eat. He explained to Old Man Yuanji. Old Man Yuanji nodded to show that he understood, and then suddenly asked, what about the leftovers from the restaurants? What about the restaurants in the capital? The good things are taken home by the waiter, and the bad things are given to the beggars waiting for food. The rest is thrown away. It's the same in the restaurant, but the good things are left for the people who can't eat, and the bad things are fed to the pigs. Sigh. When will the people of Tang stop eating this kind of thing? Old Man Pai didn't feel good when he talked about this. Even though Zhang Wang's restaurant was already very good, and everything that was given to the people was the best, after all, it was the leftovers of others. It wasn't the first time that he saw other restaurants put the leftovers together with the swill in a bucket for people to grab. There was a lucky child who fished out a bitten chicken claw from the swill in the bucket, and he was very grateful to the person who brought it over. It's a pity that I'm still the Minister of Revenue, in charge of the land and money of the world, but I can't change anything. Old Man Pai sighed. The more he thought about it, the more sullen he felt. It's almost done. It's almost done. The emperor is working hard to govern the country, and the Zhang Wang and Zhang Wang's methods. Old man Yuanji was even more sullen than Old man Pai. When the sun rose, Zhang Zhong's team continued their journey and walked back unhurriedly. The road that hadn't been repaired was not wide enough, and the team was large, so the people at the back didn't dare to force their way through. They could only wait until they encountered a small path and quickly go around to the front. The people in front of them also hid by the side of the road. Zhang Zhong had already told the team not to walk side by side, leaving space for passers-by. However, pedestrians didn't dare to do that. If they bumped into someone with a bad temper, they would be punished. Li Sun rode beside the house while holding a clip in his hand and using a charcoal stick to draw on the paper. From time to time, he would ask Zhang Xiaobao, who was also riding a horse, how to build the road in this place and how wide it should be. Or when they encountered a river, he would ask Zhang Xiaobao what kind of bridge should be built. Should it be an arch bridge or a flat bridge made of wood? Zhang Xiaobao had never studied civil engineering, so how could he know? He could only look at the surrounding environment. If there was a barren mountain, he would say to build a stone bridge. If there was a dense forest, or if there was no mountain, he would say to build a wooden bridge. It mainly depended on the difficulty of finding the materials. The team walked and walked until it was noon. It was time to eat, so they stopped to rest, mainly because the horses were tired. They carried out the little guys who had just woken up and let them play around by themselves. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to cook for the younger brother and sister alone. Others could eat in the big pot, but the little guys couldn't eat with them. What are we going to do today? Are we going to make soft fried meat? We made it last time, but it was a little difficult to eat. Why don't we make fish? Wang Wan tied her apron and asked Zhang Xiaobao. The fish we brought this time has too many bones. It's too tiring to beat the fish. Let's make snow cotton bean paste. The little guys like to eat sweet things. You mix the bean paste and I'll beat the eggs. Zhang Xiaobao said after a pause and began to take out the eggs. The people in the inner courtyard didn't have any reaction. They were used to it, but the other officials were envious. The four little guys didn't eat the soft fried meat last time and shared it with them. Only then did they realize that the best cooks between the clouds and the water turned out to be the two oldest kids in the family of Governor Zhang and General Wang. In the past few days, the two kids had never heard of most of the dishes they cooked for the four little guys, let alone see them. Whatever the four little guys couldn't eat, they would put aside for the people in the inner courtyard to eat. At first, it was for the sake of flattery. Some officials came over and insisted on eating the leftovers of others, even if the leftovers might have the little guy's saliva on them. However, after eating it, they realized that it wasn't the case at all. No wonder the general's daughter didn't let others cook for the little guys. Last time, they were chased away when they sent roasted pork tendons. So this was the reason. While Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy, the four little guys ran around crazily. They found everything fun and ran everywhere, exhausting the servant girls who were protecting them. Xiaobei ran around and around until she came to a family of four hiding in a ditch by the roadside. They didn't dare to move. The most attractive thing about this family was that there was also a pair of twins. They looked exactly the same, but they were girls. They looked about the same age as her and were timidly huddling in their mother's arms. Xiaobei ran closer, crossed her legs and crossed her arms. Wei Wei leaned forward and stared at the two sisters with her head tilted. Her big eyes kept blinking, as if she was very curious. After staring at the two for a while, she looked at her own clothes and finally found the difference. She was wearing clothes, while the two opposite her weren't wearing clothes. Their little faces were also dark. After standing there and pondering for a while, Xiaobei turned around and ran back into the house. Two servant girls chased after her to protect her. The remaining servant girl said to the family of four, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. This is the provincial governor's family. They won't hurt you." The servant girl's comforting words didn't have much of an effect. It would be a lie if the husband and wife said that they weren't afraid. If they encountered an adult, it would be easier to handle. If that precious little girl ran here and cried, then the adult would want their family's lives. After running into the house, Xiaobei fiddled with it for a while. When she came out, she held a small stick in each hand. On the top of the stick was a round piece with a diameter of 10 centimeters, wrapped in tin foil. She turned around and ran back. The parents of the two twins were frightened. They didn't know what this little girl was going to do. But they didn't do anything. This time, Xiaobei ran until she was in front of the two girls. She giggled a few times and reached out her hands to pass the two things she was holding to the two girls. She said, "Candy, candy, eat candy." The maidservant standing by the side understood that the little girl was going to give her a candy. She quickly said to the two frightened adults, "This is my family, Xiaobei's wife. She's giving your daughter a candy. Quickly take it, otherwise if she cries." The rest of the words didn't need to be said. The couple knew what she meant as soon as they heard it. The woman reached out to take the candy, but Xiaobei didn't give it to her. She wanted to pass it to the two girls. The woman immediately pushed her two daughters forward. "Big boys, small boys, quickly take it. It's candy." The two girls weren't as generous as Xiaobei. Maybe it was because of the people they were in contact with, or maybe it was because of the nutrition, or maybe it was because of the different education methods. They were so scared that they didn't dare to reach out. Xiaobei was stunned for a moment. She stuffed the candy in her left hand into the servant girl's hand, and freed her hand to tear off the wrapper of the candy in her right hand. There was a layer of glutinous rice paper inside. She demonstrated by licking the lollipop that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had specially made for them. She even smacked her lips twice and handed it over again. The two sisters' eyes immediately widened. "This can be eaten? It looks so good." One of them stretched out his small hand and took it. Then, he imitated Xiaobei's actions and licked it with his tongue. He seemed to have discovered something very strange. He made a sound of acknowledgement and licked it twice. Finally, he revealed a pure and innocent smile. At this time, the other one also followed her example and licked it. She smiled happily like the first one. At this time, Xiaobei finished peeling the other candy and handed it over. When the second girl grabbed the candy in her hand and licked it like a treasure, Xiaobei seemed to have done the greatest thing. She spread her arms and smiled like a flower as she watched the two girls lick the candy. The three servant girls beside Xiaobei also smiled. The kind-hearted master, the kind-hearted young lady, and the young master. Even this little ancestor, when others thought that she didn't know anything, knew how to give good things to people who needed them. The couple was dumbfounded. They had never seen such a big candy before. There were 3 colors stacked together in circles. What was even more unexpected was that the girl opposite them, who was about the same age as their 2 daughters, was so sensible. If it was said that when an adult gave something to others, they would make use of it in this way. But this little girl definitely wouldn't. How did the master teach such a kind child? If a child could be like this, then there was no need to talk about an adult. At this time, the man finally reacted. He remembered what the servant girl had said. The provincial governor's wife Xiaobei? But is it the provincial governor Zhang who just arrived in Suzhou? The great official that people always say is good? The man reacted and asked in a trembling voice. The provincial governor of Suzhou is my master. My master said that the people will judge whether he is good or not. The servant girl's voice was soft and slightly proud as she replied. Good official. He is indeed a great official. I will kowtow to the master. When the man got this answer, he knelt down with a thump and kowtowed to the group. The woman also let go of her 2 daughters and kowtowed with her husband. The 2 girls didn't seem to understand what was going on with their parents. They held the candy sticks tightly in their hands and blinked anxiously. The commotion here finally alarmed the other side. 2 guards ran over to check the situation. One servant girl stopped the guards and told them what had just happened. The other 2 servant girls went to help the people. When the guards heard this, one stayed behind to guard, and the other went back to report. Zhang Zhong was preparing to eat. After hearing the guard's report, he laughed out loud. Good, this is my Zhang family's people. You have the people in your heart. There should be more people on the road. It's time to eat. Let's eat together. Someone go and find everyone in front to eat together. A father can't be worse than his daughter. Zhang Zhong was happy. His daughter really fought for him. She actually ran out to give candy to others. The officials around Zhang Zhong were also puzzled. Could it be that if the father was good, the child would be good too? It really made people jealous. It was always doubtful that the adults could buy the people's hearts. But the children also knew that helping their fathers to buy the people's hearts was 100 times better than the adults doing it directly. After Zhang Zhong gave the order, someone immediately went to the two sides of the group to call people. The guards also became more vigilant. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just finished making snow cotton bean paste. When they heard the news, they frowned at the same time. In the future, there will be 2 strong protection team members beside the 4 of them at all times. What if they encounter an assassination? Xiao Bei and the others must have felt that they don't have enough companions, because they usually play with 4 people. It seems that we have to find them playmates. Zhang Xiaobao was not surprised that his sister could do such a thing. It was normal, but he was not satisfied with the guards. If they were sent by someone to kill, his sister would have been dead long ago. Love was love, but they could not ignore their safety. Wang Wan also felt that it was dangerous and said, "It seems that we have to make pistols as soon as possible in the future. We also have to choose people with good skills and cultivate a special team of bodyguards. We can't not be close to the people." Back then, wherever the chairman went, he had to inform us in advance and check again for fear of danger. But the prime minister is different. As long as something happens, he has to fly over. It's temporary. The people can't check at all. One is relying on the charm of the person, and the other is that the bodyguards are strong enough. No matter what, Xiao Bei did not encounter any danger this time. When the maid came to call Xiao Bei to eat, Xiao Bei's eyes lit up. This was also a conditioned reflex. She had probably heard the word eat the most. More importantly, she knew that the food was delicious. It was made by her brother and sister. Knowing that she could eat good food again, Xiao Bei held the sisters' hands and walked back, one in each hand. After taking 2 steps, she lost her balance and fell on the ground. While others were worried, she got up, turned around, and pulled the sisters up again. This time, they were walking forward, so they didn't have to fall on their buttocks. When Xiao Bei pulled them into the group, the maid coaxed Xiao Bei to take the 2 sisters to take a bath and find new clothes to wear. The 2 sisters felt that the atmosphere was different and were very obedient. However, they did not let go of the lollipops in their hands. Even when they were bathing, they held the lollipops in their hands. To them, this was probably the most precious gift. At this time, it was already time to eat. There were only about 30 people on the road, so there was no need to check them one by one. In today's accidental situation, the probability of deliberately hurting Zhang Zhong was too small. Zhang Zhong was bold and greeted the people one by one. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were helpless. They could only personally accompany Zhang Zhong and chase the bodyguards away. This made Zhang Zhong seem closer to the people. He was greeting his family. However, the people in the inner courtyard of the Zhang family knew that with the young master and young lady around, there was no need to worry about the master's safety. The people were indeed moved. He was a good official. It was the first time they saw an official without any bodyguards talk to them so cordially. After a round of greetings, everyone started to eat. But just as they started to eat, 2 horses came from the front. 2 yamen runners jumped off the horses and ran to Zhang Zhong to report. "Sir, official Bai is back. He brought many people with him. Among them is an old man. Official Bai calls him Yuan Ji." Chapter 566. What is prosperity? Don't ask now. Look for old traces in the next year. The old man would fish with them, or point to the sky and talk about the clouds. Zhang San knew that Bai Go had gone to pick them up. When he heard Yuanji, he didn't know who it was. They ate and continued on their way. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that the 6 little guys had finished eating, they asked someone to inquire about them. They found out that this family was a family of craftsmen, or craftsmen. They were not as good as farmers, so they were looking for work. Xiao Bei seemed to hit it off with the 2 sisters, and insisted on playing with them. He was even brought into the house. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have to worry about it. Someone hired the family. They didn't care what they could do, as long as the children could play with Xiaobei. As they continued to walk, Zhang Xiaobao asked Wang Wan, "Do you know who Yuanji is? The person Grandpa I found shouldn't be bad, right?" "Yuanji? Who's called Yuanji? His courtesy name is Yuanji, right? There was a person in the northern song called Wang Yuqi. His courtesy name is Yuanji. I remember the poem he wrote was, 'The horse crosses the mountain, and the chrysanthemum blossoms at the beginning. Wanha has a voice in the evening, and several peaks stand silently under the setting sun. The leaves of the tangerine pear fall, and the buckwheat flowers bloom. What is there to be melancholy about? The village bridge and the original trees are like my hometown.' It feels a bit like Su Shi's Lingnan answer. But he said, 'This is my hometown. But he is better than him, more free and easy. He is such a person.' That's right. Wang Wan was knowledgeable and better than Zhang Xiaobao in this aspect. She said it directly. Unfortunately, this answer didn't satisfy Zhang Xiaobao. You said it was the northern song. No matter how bad I am in history, I know that the song is after the Tang. Is he here now? Did he come out early? Oh right. He is not here yet. Who is he? Yuanji, this name is indeed familiar. Who did Li Longji call Yuanji? The person Grandpa I found should be a little famous, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked for both a boat and a person to pick him up. Young Master Li, come here for a moment. I have something to ask you." Wang Wan couldn't think of anything. It was clearly floating in front of her eyes. She had a hint of inspiration, but she forgot it in her hurry. She could only look for Li Sun. "What's the matter?" Li Sun urged his horse over. Just now, because there were a few more common people's children, he didn't eat the snow cotton bean paste. Even though he wasn't young anymore, he was used to eating with Zhang Xiaobao and Li Sun. At this time, he started to throw a tantrum and called out this prince the moment he opened his mouth. "Regarding the matter of making a fortune, I wonder if your highness has the time?" Wang Wan replied, Yes. Tell me how to get rich. Let's do it together." Li Sun's status suddenly dropped. "Then tell me first, whose character is Yuanji?" Wang Wan continued to ask. "Yao Cheng. What happened to him? He didn't seem to be young anymore. Could he have died? Aya, that's a big matter. It's a loss to our dynasty." Li Sun's expression changed. After all, he was a prime minister. Even if he wasn't, he still knew what he had done. Wang Wan also remembered who the character Yuanji was. She opened her mouth and gasped in shock. She looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Grandpa I brought Yao Cheng here? That's troublesome. Yao Cheng's methods are impressive. What if there's a group of people?" Zhang Xiaobao was also shocked. He didn't expect that old man Pai would bring Yao Cheng here when he said he was going to pick someone up. Could it be that old man Pai felt that he didn't have enough weight? No matter how bad the history was, Zhang Xiaobao knew who Yao Cheng was. That name had existed for many centuries. Many people said that without him, there would be no Kaiyuan era. It was his series of methods that helped Li Longji stabilize the political situation. Besides, his family had dealt with him before. His family's initial position was stable because they worked together to eliminate the locusts. Now that he was here in person, there was another large group of people. Li Sun listened from the side and understood what was going on. He smiled and said, "This is a good thing. With Elder Bai and Minister Shangshu here, it's even better to have a prime minister. If there's nothing to do, you guys can bully others for fun. With these two people here, even if you bully me, I have to endure. Without them, you have to endure even if they bully you. Now that you know who it is, I'll make you snow bean paste tonight." Wang Wan was not worried now that she knew who it was. She would act according to circumstances. Li Sun curled his lips. "Do you think I'm a child? You think you can scare me with snow bean paste? Didn't you say you were going to get rich? How do you get rich?" asked Xiaobao. He said it just now. Wang Wan did not know how to get rich. She directly sent Li Sun to Zhang Xiaobao. "Xiaobao, don't tell me you are also going to make snow bean paste to fool me." Li Sun came to ask. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. What did this have to do with him? This was not right. He looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan had already turned her head to look at the house. He then looked at Li Sun. Li Sun had a look of desire. "Yes, young Master Li is right. It is snow bean paste. You even know about this. There are still a few days before midsummer. Then let's get rich for a few days first. You know about shaved ice, right? You know about ice cream, right? Next, we are going to make ice cream. The kind with bean stuffing in the middle. Zhang Xiaobao had no other choice. He could only come up with this idea. There were no ice fruits with stuffing yet. He could sell them for a few days and earn a few days' worth of money. Then, he told Li Sun how to make ice cream bit by bit. Will it really work? Won't the bean paste and ice hurt your stomach if you eat them all at once? Li Sun had never eaten ice cream before. He was slightly worried. No, don't worry about it. Just cook the beans. It's autumn here, and it's not as cold as the north. We can still sell them for a month or two. It's just enough for the local people who have nothing to do to find a job. Zhang Xiaobao had to insist. Otherwise, he would be lying to Li Sun. All right, I'll make it when I get back. No, I'll send someone back immediately. That's a good idea. I'm going to try it at Lu Zhou's place. It's more convenient there. And there's more sugar. What do you think about the mountain people on the island we occupied? When we bring them back, it'll be more difficult for the people of this dynasty to eat sugar than salt. Li Sun took this to heart. Not only did he want to experiment here, but he also wanted to bring this thing to Lu Zhou. After all, he had his holiday villa there. When Zhang Xiaobao saw Li Sun's insistence, he thought there would be no losses, so he nodded in agreement. All right, that's a good idea. In that case, you'll send someone to support this business. In fact, people will eat these things even in winter. Li Sun fooled around and really sent someone back to make the ice cream. After knowing who was coming, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could no longer let the group travel at a leisurely pace. After they found Zhang Zhong, the group sped up. At night, they only rested the horses for a while before they continued to move forward. When the sun rose again, Zhang Zhong finally returned to his residence. He originally thought that Yao Chong would be able to see him first, so he had already packed up. Unfortunately, Yao Chong did not seem to care about a provincial governor like him, even if he was a top scorer. The first people he wanted to meet were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He did not know if Yao Chong likes smart children, or if he thought the two children were easier to deal with. Zhang Xiaobao also thought Yao Chong would meet with his father first. After all, he would be living with the Zhang family and the Wang family in the future. Etiquette could not be neglected. Even if he did not come personally because of his status, he had to invite his father over. In the end, he was told that he and Wang Wan were invited over. It was a very small matter. If it were other children, it would be fine. Moreover, Zhang Zhong also had the same intention. However, Zhang Xiaobao was crazy. He would not allow others to look down on his family. He directly said to the person, "Sick. Cuckoo and I are both sick. We can't go for a while. Go back." The person looked at the big child in front of him in disbelief. He was a member of the Yao family. How could he be sent away like this? What illness? He could not tell. Riding on a horse, he could even make funny faces at the children in the house that he had never seen before. This made the person angry. He felt that the child in front of him was looking down on him. He snorted coldly and said, "What illness? Can you cure it? Do you have a toothache and you snort at me? I only know that pigs sleep after they are full. When they wake up, they eat. When they have nothing to do, they just snort. This is the first time I have seen a person with this illness. You are spoiled. Get lost. Who do you think you are?" Zhang Xiaobao was no longer as good-natured as before. He scolded the man and chased him away. "Xiaobao, you don't have to be like this, right? Since Lord Yao is looking for you, you can just go." Zhang Zhong was also listening at the side. Seeing that his son suddenly lost his temper, he advised. Zhang Xiaobao glared at the person who still dared to look back after leaving. He said to his father, "Father, face is given by others. You have to earn your own face. Does he think that he is the emperor and can tell whoever he wants to go over? Since he is here, he should see you first. Who would bypass the son just because the father is here? Isn't that scolding him?" Seeing that his son said this, Zhang Zhong did not intend to persuade him anymore. He also thought that his son was right. Who would look for his son first and not him? Who knows who is older and who is younger? When the family saw that the father and son had made up their minds, They didn't care anymore, and just did what they were supposed to do. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sent the younger siblings, and the two sisters who came from outside to their own courtyard, and started to study again. The person who came to look for Yao Chong returned to Old Man Pai's courtyard. Old Man Pai had just arranged for people to buy more than a dozen houses nearby for Yao Chong and his family to live together. When he heard the person who went to look for Yao Chong, he asked, "What did you say to them?" In reply to Lord Bai, this lowly one said that Lord Yao and Lord Bai were looking for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. In the end, Zhang Xiaobao scolded this lowly one, saying that this lowly one's master is unreasonable and a pig. With a paw sound, Bai Go slapped the person's face, even if this person was a member of Yao Chong's family. The old man's strength was not small. He had taken good care of himself. The slap actually made the person stagger. After slapping the person, he met Yao Chong's puzzled gaze and said, "Yuanji, he must have taken advantage of your position to not talk nicely to you. Tell him that you told Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to rest first, and that you would visit them in the afternoon. Tell him that you wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan first, and tell them that you wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Tell them that you missed them." He must have gone directly and said that you wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, and asked them to come quickly. If it were another provincial governor's child, he would have come. What did a child know? The adults would not dare to stop him. However, how could Xiao Bao of the Zhang family be so easily fooled? He had already given you and me face by not letting him stay. If it were another person, Xiao Bao would have broken his leg. If you don't believe me, you can ask him whether it was true or not. After hearing Old Man Pai's words, Yao Chong immediately knew what he meant. If he were in Old Man Pai's shoes, he would also be angry. He looked at the person who was beaten, and did not say anything. He just stared at him. "Master, I thought that since you were here, they should come to visit in person. I thought that they should find their child first. When I went over just now, not only did they not prepare to come, they even planned to rest." The man was so scared that he trembled and tried to defend himself. "Then the child of the Zhang family scolded me as a pig? It's my fault for not being strict enough. I let Long Zhe laugh at me. Go get 30 lashes yourself." As soon as Yao Chong heard his subordinate's explanation, he understood. It was a typical case of taking advantage of one's position to bully others. He did not expect that such a thing could happen in his family. After driving the person away, Yao Chong thought for a while, and really did not know what to do. If he went over now, they would be resting. If he did not go, then the Zhang family might think that he was the one who instigated what happened just now. In desperation, he could only look at Old Man Pai, hoping that he could help him make a decision. After all, he was familiar with the Zhang family and the Wang family. Old Man Pai thought for a while and said to Yao Chong, "Yuanji, why don't the two of us go and take a look? Have someone bring the things from the capital. I think the Zhang family and the Wang family should have received the news last night, and should have rushed back. If we send someone to invite them, they should come over. Zhang Zhong is resting well, but his family must have a good rest." Yao Chong understood the meaning of these words. Since the person he sent had offended them, it was not good to send someone to invite them. He could only go himself. Not to mention that he was not the prime minister now. Even if he was, the Zhang family would not care. Who let them be so powerful? So what if they offended the prime minister? Let the emperor kill them? That was impossible. It was possible to send them away. It could be done with some tricks. But what about Shuzhou? The rent tax for this year had not been paid yet. Besides, what could they do even if they were sent away? Where would they be sent away? The last time they were sent to an official, it was no different from being sent away. If they were sent to Luzhou all of a sudden, other people would have a slim chance of survival. If the Zhang family and the Wang family went there, they would have a good life. Not only did they take care of the local people, but they also opened their business there. That was the most remote place. Oh, there was another place that was even more remote, and that was Cheongzhou. It was isolated overseas, but others were afraid. But would the Zhang family be afraid? If they went there, they would be connected to Luzhou. They could not wait to go there. When he thought of this, Yao Chong looked at his clothes, nodded and said, "All right, Let's go and have a look. Let's see how many skills this Zhang Zhong has learned. Men, prepare the gifts and come with me. When Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao arrived at the provincial capital together, Zhang Zhong was looking through the things that had been left behind for the past few days. Most of the small matters had been settled by others. The rest was up to him to decide. For example, someone had proposed to build a bridge across the river. The person who proposed to build the bridge was a local minor official in charge of water conservancy. No one knew what he was thinking. How could he dare to propose such a thing? That was the Yangtze River, not a small river. How could he want to build a bridge on it? However, since he had proposed it, he had to take a good look at it. It was written very clearly. It was to use boats and find someone to cast countless large iron pillars. Then, they would send a big boat like the Zhang families, and find a way to erect the pillars into the water. After that, they would put wood on top of the pillars. Whimsical. How did they figure it out? A minor official is a minor official. Where can they find so much iron? How can they transport it by boat? Do they think that my boat can hold up everything? If they could build a bridge, they would have built it on the Yellow River. The Yangtze River flows faster than the Yellow River. Zhang Zhong raised his pen and prepared to criticize this official. However, just as his pen was about to touch the paper, he stopped. The reason was very simple. He also hoped that there would be a bridge connecting the north and south. That way it would be very convenient. The people who came and went would not have to take the risk of taking a boat. In addition to this advantage, it would be very convenient for transportation. He really did not have the ability, and the minor official's method would not work. However, he still had his son and daughter-in-law. If he asked them, they might be able to think of a way. Zhang Zhongru thought about it and wrote a few words on the paper that was sent to him. The meaning was that this method was not feasible. The problem of iron was not easy to solve. Even if the iron was obtained, the ship would not be able to carry it. He wanted him to think about it carefully. After commenting on this, just as Zhang Zhong was about to look at the next one, someone came to report that Official Bai and Official Yao had come to visit. Zhang Zhong could not ignore them. After all, they had come personally. It seemed that his son had done the right thing. As he let people open the door, he tidied his clothes and brought people to welcome them. This was a formal visit. Unlike usual, if it was Old Man Pai who came alone, there was no need to open the door. At this moment, he had to be polite. As the door creaked open, Zhang Zhong quickly stood at the door and said to Bai Go and Yao Chong, "I did not know that Official Bai and Official Yao would be here. I hope that you will forgive me for not welcoming you. Please come in. Lord Zhang is indeed young and capable. Sorry for disturbing you. Please come in." Yao Chong understood that they were welcoming him. Old Man Pai did not need to be welcomed. He came here as if it was his own home. The three of them were polite until they came to the living room. As the servants served tea and snacks, Zhang Zhong spoke first. "Official Yao, you have traveled a long way. Have you gotten used to it? If you feel uncomfortable, you only need to send someone here. There is no need to trouble yourself to come here." "Yes, I have seen many things along the way. However, the place I want to see the most is Shuzhou. As long as Lord Zhang is there, I think the lives of the people will be good." Yao Chong also spoke politely. It was not the first time he came out. How could he not get used to it? He already knew what this place was like. "Yongcheng, this is Yuanji, and he does not plan to leave. He wants to stay here with this old man. Yuanji's body is not very good. I will have to trouble you." At this time Old Man Pai also spoke. With one sentence he closed the relationship, no longer being polite. "Is that so? Good. With Official Yao by my side, I will have to ask for more advice in the future. I will arrange it. Even though Zhang Zhong had almost guessed it, he was very excited when he heard Old Man Pai's words at this moment. He had one more powerful person by his side. As long as there was something he did not understand, he could ask. He could not always trouble his son. His son and daughter-in-law had to study by themselves, take care of their younger siblings, and give ideas from time to time. What if they were tired? Zhang Zhong was a man of his word. He called people over. One was to let the doctors get ready. The other was to let the chefs of Sea Cloud House, see what kind of recipes they should make. The treatment could not be bad. At least it had to be the same as by Go. It did not matter how much money was spent. This kind of good thing was that others did not have the chance to spend money even if they wanted to. Old Man Pai looked at Zhang Zhong's arrangement and signaled Yao Chong with his eyes. He meant to say, "Did you see that? I am not wrong, right?" After Zhang Zhong arranged it, Old Man Pai asked again, "I heard that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are sick. I have to go and see them." "Ah, sick? Oh, what happened before?" "It's all because of Xiao Bao's bad temper. I don't know what happened to this child. He drove them away. Why bother?" Zhang Zhong knew what by Go meant. He sighed and said, Yao Chong knew that this was an opportunity to solve the misunderstanding. So he told the whole story. He mainly emphasized that his family was not strict enough. Since he had said it, Zhang Zhong did not think about it. He could also see that the two people did not want to say much to him. They mainly wanted to introduce their son and daughter-in-law. When they were almost done, he said, "Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are reading in the courtyard of the Four Little Guys. Please follow me." "No, you do your work. You have a lot of things to do. First finish the things that have been put down for the past few days. Yuanji and I will go there by ourselves." Old Man Pai saw the documents on the case when he passed by just now. He did not want to disturb them. Zhang Zhong was really a good official. He wanted to do something practical for the people. Zhang Zhong did not insist. He found someone to accompany them. After he sent them to the door, he turned back to continue his work. Since the people kept saying that he was a good official, he had to pretend. Old Man Pai and Old Man Yao came to the courtyard of the children under the guidance of others. At this time, the 6 children were rolling around on the marble ground. Only 3 of the things that were shining on the ground were not extinguished. The rest were all gone. The maids did not care much. They just watched by the side. As long as they rolled over, they would push them back. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were playing chess not far away. After reading for a while, they felt that it was a little unsuitable. After all, they had been out for a few days. They needed to rest when they came back, so they began to play chess. Both of them were not stupid. They had come into contact with Go before. Wang Wan had learned it at home, while Zhang Xiaobao had scammed them. Who asked those officials to be so useless in governing the country? They were always studying calligraphy, painting, playing Go, antiques, and so on. Some of them could even sing a couple of pop songs. No one knew where they learned it from. When meeting such people, they could not talk about the people and the livelihood of the people. Zhang Xiaobao had to study this kind of thing that had nothing to do with the people's livelihood in order to cheat people. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.